Chapter 2701. Fairy Hong Xiao's ability to find directions was indeed better than Xiao Hua's. She did not fly towards the Sword Catacomb at all. Instead, she flew towards the direction of the Sky Patrol City, based on her estimation. In just a few days, Xiao Hua's Buddhist consciousness had already seen the Dao sect's troops in a neat formation. "My wife, it seems that the Dao sect's troops are in front of us. I will not meet them." Xiao Hua clenched his fists and said softly. Fairy Hong Xia was naturally used to Xiao Hua's divine thought range. She smiled and said, "Then I will go and tell Senior Uncle Xiangming. He won't suspect me, right? You're a great contributor who saved dozens of gold core cultivators. Even if he suspects me, he will not suspect you." Xiao Hua smiled. "Of course. Such a major battle. The famous Xiao Hua of the Imperial Thunder Sect is actually not in the Sword Catacomb. This is really suspicious." Fairy Hong Xia teased Xiao Hua with a few words, then smiled and said, "This concubine also called Senior Brotherly out." "Don't." Xiao Hua rolled his eyes and said softly, "I will go and find him myself. If you go and find him, he may suspect me." "All right." Fairy Hong Xia was actually quite surprised why Xiao Hua was so secretive. If she had the strength of a nascent soul cultivator, she would have revealed it long ago. She would definitely be put in an important position by the sect. Moreover, if she had such a cultivation, how could the Kai family of Luyang be at such a level? They would have already suppressed the Kai family of Luyang. However, Fairy Hong Xia was extremely smart and did not ask any more questions. She just hugged Xiao Hua and flew into the air. After Fairy Hong Xia reluctantly flew away, Xiao Hua once again charged into the air and executed the lightning escape technique. The sound of thunder was so loud that it sounded like thousands of heavenly drums were beating. Within the sound of thunder, there was a kind of surging momentum, as if he was about to soar into the sky. However, this carefree and unrestrained momentum was only a gradual process. It was far from reaching the limit of a shocking change. Imperial Thunder Transformation. Xiao Hua's heart was as calm as an ancient well. He already knew when he was condensing his core that the lightning core in his Dantian would undergo some changes after going through the lightning tribulation. His lightning escape technique would definitely improve. However, he didn't expect that he would reach the Imperial Lightning Transformation stage in such a short time. He was at the same level as the head of the Imperial Lightning Sect, Qian Lazy. However, thinking about Yu Lei Jing and Lei Tung behind him, a sense of expectation and a trace of pride involuntarily leaped into his heart. Perhaps I will be the first Yu Lei Jing disciple on the Dawn Rain continent to cultivate the lightning escape technique to the thunderclap ninth heaven. Xiao Hua's figure streaked across the void in midair and had long since disappeared without a trace. After chasing the hundreds of thousands of Dao sect disciples, Xiao Hua rested for a bit before flying over. When he was a few dozen kilometers away, Xiao Hua took out the token and checked it with his divine sense. Sure enough, Li Zongbao's imprint had reacted. Xiao Hua listened in the air and sent out a message. After waiting for an entire meal's worth of time, Xiao Hua finally saw Li Zongbao fly out from the large group of people. What shocked him was that Xiao Mao was actually following beside Li Zongbao. "Xiao Mao, this guy, is a disciple of my Xuanyan school from the country of Xi. Now that the three countries have separated into groups, why is he following beside Li Zongbao?" Xiao Hua frowned slightly. "During the war, it didn't count for much, but if it's still the same now, I'm afraid that the higher dimensions of the Xuanyan school will have some thoughts." It had to be said that Xiao Hua, who previously didn't care about these minor details or didn't understand them at all, had gradually matured after the baptism of the Great Dao sword battle. In this world, there was no such thing as a natural leader. Everyone slowly grew up in an environment of life and cultivation. Those so-called great talents who rushed the seedlings to help them grow, their so-called endings were probably similar to this Great Dao sword battle. Li Zongbao and Xiao Mao gradually flew closer. The two of them could already see Xiao Hua's thin figure. Li Zongbao's expression didn't change, but Xiao Mao couldn't help it. He was originally more than 3 feet behind Li Zongbao, but he actually urged his flight technique to get close to Li Zongbao's back, almost parallel to him. Moreover, the fiery passion in Xiao Mao's eyes couldn't be concealed. Xiao Hua's eyebrows twitched, and he couldn't help but glare at him. This glare immediately woke Xiao Mao up. His figure immediately slowed down a lot, and he obediently flew behind Li Zongbao. Li Zongbao naturally sensed the change in Xiao Mao's flight, but he didn't care. He looked at Xiao Hua flying over and said indifferently, "Junior brother Xiao, you ran here? Greetings to senior brother Li." Xiao Hua respectfully bowed in greeting. Xiao Hua's greeting made Li Zongbao's tense face jump slightly. An indescribable expression flashed in his eyes, and he raised his hand to return the greeting. Xiao Mao naturally also came up to greet him. Then Xiao Hua smiled and said, I'll let you know, senior brother Li." I walked around the Sky Patrol City for a while and realized that there were no swordsmen. Even our path sect's cultivators had decreased. I had to return to the Sky Patrol City. "Why did you return to the Sky Patrol City?" Li Zongbao frowned. I didn't enter the Sky Patrol City." Xiao Hua's heart warmed, and he smiled apologetically. "I just met the patrolling city guards outside the Sky Patrol City. I heard from them that our Path Sect's disciples had come out in full force to kill the swordsmen in the Sword Catacomb, so I immediately rushed over. I didn't expect to meet a large group of people before I even reached the Sword Catacomb. Senior brother Li, congratulations on making a new contribution in the Sword Catacomb." "You're talking nonsense," Li Zongbao said coldly. "The city guards of the Sky Patrol City didn't even know that we came to the Sword Catacomb. I naturally met other Path Sect disciples who were alone on the way. This kind of trivial matter, I don't have to report it in detail, right?" Xiao Hua smiled and looked at where Li Zongbao and the rest came from. He said, "Senior brother Li and the other senior brothers have returned from the Sword Catacomb so quickly. I guess you must have achieved a very glorious result in this Path Sect's battle?" "Yes, very glorious," Li Zongbao said snappily. "Now that our Path Sect disciples are only left with 100,000 people, it's indeed very glorious." Why?" Xiao Hua turned pale with fright. Li Zongbao glanced at Xiao Hua and waved his hand. "Go and ask Xiao Mao." "Yes." Xiao Hua turned his head and asked seriously, "Junior brother Xiao, why did you come out with senior brother Li?" "I don't think I called you. Now that the battle is about to end, our special task force in the conference hall has been disbanded. If you stay with senior brother Li, won't the Golden Core Masters of your Xuanyin school have any opinions about you?" Xiao Mao was stunned, and then he felt warm in his heart. He knew that Xiao Hua was concerned about him, but he rolled his eyes and said with a smile, "Big brother, who said the battle is over? You weren't in the Sword Catacomb. How do you know the battle is over?" Xiao Hua laughed in his heart. He knew that Xiao Mao was joking, so he said casually, "Our Path Sect disciples have died like this, and it's still not over? If it's not over, why did you come back?" "Xiao Mao is not in our Utopia faction," Li Zongbao said lightly. "I saw your message, so I called Xiao Mao over." It's just as senior brother Li said." Xiao Mao said with a smile, "When I received the message and knew that Big Brother was safe and sound, I was very happy. I immediately reported it to the masters and called senior brother Li over." Then, Xiao Mao briefly explained the situation of the battle. It was very simple. It was definitely like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water, skimming over it. Xiao Hua was too lazy to correct him. He turned his head and asked, "Senior brother Li, how did Master Qianmo of the Imperial Thunder Sect fall? Who was the culprit?" Li Zongbao stared at Xiao Hua for a moment and said word by word, "The one who forced Master Qianmo to self-destruct was LV Ruochang of the Black Phoenix Sword Sect. That day, the nameless senior of the Imperial Thunder Sect already knew. In front of all 100,000 cultivators, he didn't take LV Ruochang's life. You know the details, so what's the use of knowing the culprit? Maybe the nameless senior was afraid that he would lose a lot of your 100,000 cultivators because of a small loss." Xiao Hua sighed. Xiao Mao couldn't take it anymore and said anxiously, Master Qianmo was so ruthless to Big Brother. He didn't even protect Big Brother in the meeting hall of the Sky Patrol City. His death has nothing to do with Big Brother. Maybe Master Qianmo is that kind of person. Li Zongbao raised his eyes slightly and looked into the distance. He said, "My master has been talking about Master Qianmo recently. He admires Master Qianmo a lot." Yes, everyone is different. Everyone's way of doing things is also different. You and I feel that this matter is ruthless, but others feel that it's normal. Xiaohua naturally agreed. Xiao Mao probably doesn't know about the death of Master Qianmo. Li Zongbao continued to explain the matter. If Master Qianmo could leave, he would have left, but he didn't leave. If he left, perhaps we wouldn't have to chase after the Sword Catacomb. Xiao Mao said unrelentingly. What about the Sword Catacomb's 10-direction annihilation array? Xiaohua asked curiously. I can't figure it out even if I break my head. The sword cultivators suppressed the disciples of my Dao sect and fought their way to the Sword Catacomb. How could they think of setting up an array in the Sword Catacomb? And how could it kill so many sword cultivator disciples? This is really too strange. Who said it wasn't? Xiao Mao continued. When I found out about this, I was so shocked that my jaw almost dropped. Li Zongbao looked at Xiao Mao and said indifferently, if you want to talk about this matter, it has something to do with your sect's Master Qianmo. Ah, it's actually Qianmo's plan? Xiaohua was shocked. It said that this plan came from Tu Hong, who was assassinated by Qin Jian. Li Zongbao said word by word. However, Qin Jian is already dead. This credit naturally belongs to Qianmo. Ah, hearing this, Xiaohua was even more shocked. He didn't think that Tu Hong would play such an important role in the battle of the Dao sect. Chapter 2702. What's going on? Xiaohua asked. Thus, Li Zongbao told him everything he got from Hung Hung. Actually, Li Zongbao was also kept in the dark before. He only found out after a few days. On one hand, he admired the arrangement of the Sword Catacomb. On the other hand, he felt that the sword intent inside the Sword Catacomb was inconceivable. That sword intent was simply a stroke of genius. If it wasn't for that sword intent, this great array would be complete nonsense. Tu Hong's so-called ambush was also just empty words. After speaking, Li Zongbao looked at Xiaohua, as if he wanted to get an answer from him. Xiaohua was even more fascinated when he heard this. At this moment, no one understood the origin of the sword transformation sword insight better than him. No one could sense the coincidence within it better than him, and no one understood the cause and effect within it better than him. Boom! An indescribable fluctuation came from Xiaohua's karmic hand, which hadn't made any progress for a long time. It enveloped the entire space, and even some of the stars above the heavenly Dao's starry sky changed. Although the change was small, the effect was obvious. The starry sky became clearer, and the veil that covered the heavenly Dao seemed to have lessened by a lot. Xiaohua's figure flickered faintly, and that pursed smile became even more mysterious. Suddenly, Xiaohua disappeared, but before Li Zongbao and Xiao Mao could react, Xiaohua actually reappeared. Although Xiaohua still looked the same after he reappeared, but from the bottom of their hearts, they had an intuition that this didn't seem to be the Xiaohua from before. Who are you? Xiao Mao was impatient and cared more about Xiaohua. He immediately shouted. Xiaohua was stunned. He asked curiously, Who am I? Xiao Mao, what do you mean? You are Xiaohua? Li Zongbao frowned slightly. He used his divine sense to scan Xiaohua. Strange. What are you two talking about? Xiaohua scratched his head. If I'm not Xiaohua, who is Xiaohua? Why did you suddenly disappear? Xiao Mao asked. I disappeared? How is that possible? Xiaohua answered without hesitation. I've been standing here all this time. This. Li Zongbao looked at Xiao Mao. Xiao Mao also looked at Li Zongbao. They looked at each other. In truth, Xiaohua also had some doubts in his heart. The karmic hand within the space had changed, and his entire space was shaking. In particular, the primordial spirit that Xiao Hua had comprehended in the Hand of Karma gave him a lot of profound insights. Xiao Hua's mind instantly went blank, and he felt as if a long river without a head or tail had filled the entire world. No, it wasn't the sky, nor was it the earth. It was a starry sky. Under the vast starry sky, there was an endless stream of water that was as bright as the Milky Way. Of course, it was only for an instant. Xiao Hua saw Li Zongbao and Xiao Mao again. Regarding their questions, Xiao Huaqing knew that it was caused by the strange situation just now, but he could not explain it. Forget it. You can be whoever you want. What does it have to do with me? Li Zongbao pondered for a moment, then slapped his hand and took out a few storage bags from his bosom. When Xiao Mao saw this, he immediately took out a few storage bags from his bosom. Seeing this, Xiao Hua immediately understood that this was a reward from the conference hall. Why are there so many? Xiao Hua looked at the nearly 10 storage pouches in front of him and couldn't help but be surprised. This is why I called Xiao Mao here. Li Zongbao said indifferently. Killing Qin Jian is your own merit. Xiao Mao, and I didn't help at all. This merit, I can take it, but as for the reward, I can't take it. I see. Xiao Hua finally understood why Li Zongbao called Xiao Mao over. He secretly gave Li Zongbao a thumbs up at his heart and said with a smile, Senior brother Li is too polite. That day, if Senior brother and Xiao Mao didn't risk your lives to charge forward and awaken me from my bloodthirsty state, I might have already been killed by Qin Jian. If you die, we will also die, Li Zongbao said indifferently. So we're doing this for ourselves. Forget it. Xiao Hua waved his hand. Since the merit is shared equally, the reward is the same. I don't want it. Li Zongbao said resolutely. I don't lack these. Moreover, I have already benefited a lot from the battle. These external things will taint my state of mind for no reason. Oh, I see. Xiao Hua nodded and looked deeply at Li Zongbao. Senior brother Li's words, I will remember them in my heart. If Senior brother Li has any errands in the future, please don't hesitate to ask. I will not shirk my duty. And Li Zongbao nodded, but there was no look of gratitude on his face. However, Li Zongbao was very satisfied. He knew Xiao Hua very well. The weight of this sentence was heavier than all the rewards added together. A cultivator who had just condensed his core and already had the strength of a nascent soul cultivator. This was an unconditional promise. This was something that no treasure could exchange for. Xiao Mao, you don't have to be so polite. Xiao Hua waved his hand, and all the storage bags landed in front of him. You could take half of them and leave the rest to me. Big brother, Xiao Mao said respectfully. You can take your pick first. No matter how many there are, the rest belongs to me. Oh, okay. Xiao Hua did not stand on ceremony as he looked through the storage bags one by one. Even though he had told Fairy Hong Xia that he did not mind, he was still dumbfounded when he saw so many spirit stones, spiritual herbs, pills, and skills. So many. Xiao Hua muttered. You don't know how many people Qin Jian has killed. Li Zongbao said coldly. You don't know how many people want Qin Jian dead. All the sects have offered a reward for finding the culprit, especially the sects that have lost their disciples. They are offering huge rewards. Xiao Mao explained. How many years has it been? We have accumulated too much. Okay. Xiao Hua began to take out the cultivation techniques and handed them to Xiao Mao. I will leave these to you. Make a copy for me. Okay. Xiao Mao didn't hesitate. After taking them, he began to take action. Then, Xiao Hua divided the Dharma artifacts and treasures into two and took one for himself. As for the spiritual stones, Xiao Hua didn't leave a single one for Xiao Mao. He said, with too many spiritual stones, your heart will be messed up. You are still young. I will take care of these things for you. Xiao Hua picked up some spiritual herbs that he didn't have in his storage bag and took all the pills that Xiao Mao didn't need. Then he handed the storage bag to Xiao Mao and said, Big brother, I have finished picking. These are all yours. So much. This time, it was Xiao Mao's turn to be shocked. Big brother, this is too much. I feel guilty. You still have a long way to go. Xiao Hua said earnestly. Moreover, in Xuanyan school, There are many people you need to rely on. These things might be useful. Isn't it the same for Big Brother? Xiao Mao said and insisted on taking something out. Xiaohua thought for a moment and nodded. Then take a look. If there is anything you don't need, give it to Big Brother. In the end, Xiao Mao actually wanted to give half of it to Xiaohua. How could Xiaohua accept it? He only asked for 30%. They were all rare items that Xiao Mao had no use for. Li Zongbao watched the two of them pushing back and forth to divide the items. He patiently clapped his hands and took out a token and handed it to Xiaohua, saying, "Other than the reward from the discussion hall, this is a special reward from your Imperial Thunder sect." "Oh, what is this?" Xiaohua asked curiously. Looking at the faintly discernible lightning on the token and a fist-sized amnesty character in the middle of the lightning, Xiaohua asked curiously. "Sect Master's Special Pardon Order." Xiao Mao smiled and took out a token that was similar to the Imperial Thunder sect's Sect Master's Special Pardon Order. Senior Brother Li specially asked for this for Big Brother. Although Li Zongbao didn't say it clearly, Xiao Mao already knew and explained. Sect Master's Special Pardon Order? Xiaohua was extremely surprised. He knew that this was the surprise that Fairy Hong Xiao was talking about. He took the Special Pardon Order and looked it up and down. He also immersed his divine sense in it and saw the image of Master Qianlei inside. It was similar to the token he gave Zhong Haoren, but the Master Qianlei inside said, "This is my Imperial Thunder Sect Master's Special Pardon Order. I, Master Qianlei, am the Imperial Thunder Sect Master. Those who hold this token, no matter how serious their crimes are, can be pardoned. This token can only be used once." Senior Brother Li, "Little brother, what do you want this for?" Xiaohua looked at Li Zongbao, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Li Zongbao stared at Xiaohua and looked at him for a while, then waved his hand and said, "If you think it's useless, then it's useless. Anyway, the rewards are already enough. This special pardon order, it's just a decoration." Tu Hong. Xiaohua looked at Li Zongbao's eyes and knew that he was worried about this. He smiled and said, "No matter what, this is Senior Brother Li's concern for this little brother. This little brother thanks Senior Brother. Keep it well." Li Zongbao said lightly, "Maybe it'll be useful." Speaking until here, Li Zongbao suddenly stopped. He suddenly realized that if Xiaohua was Wu Ming, his cultivation would not be inferior to Shui Yuzhenren by too much. This Sect Master's Special Pardon Order is really useless. Suddenly, a feeling of "it's not my concern, it's just that he's flying too fast," arose spontaneously. As soon as this thought came into his mind, Li Zongbao was immediately moved and lost interest. It was as if he had done a lot of hard work, only to find that it was useless in the end. Li Zongbao's expression was calm, and Xiaohua couldn't tell what he was thinking. He just casually put away the sect leader's special pardon token and said, "Senior Marshal Brother Li, the war seems to have come to an end. Presumably, the nascent soul masters of the various sects in the 3 cultivation countries have already made preparations. We, the special task force of the conference hall, should also be disbanded. These hundreds of thousands of disciples, what should we do with them? Although the outcome of the battle has already been decided, the nascent soul masters have yet to receive any news. By the time they send their troops over, it will be a matter of several months later. During this period of time, we still need to cultivate in Sky Patrol City and patrol the vicinity of Sky Patrol City. In addition, when the Golden Core Masters in the conference hall sent a message to the sect, they had already discussed that the survival of our hundreds of thousands of disciples is all thanks to Senior Wu Ming of the Imperial Thunder Sect. This last merit also belongs to the Imperial Thunder Sect. We have been fighting for several years. It's time for us to take a break. The conference hall has already issued an order that all disciples can rest and return to the sect when the nascent soul masters arrive." Li Zongbao glanced at Xiao Mao and said, "As for the special task force of the conference hall, the Golden Core Masters in the conference hall are prepared to award us for meritorious service in this war. The name of this team will be used forever." "Oh, ha!" Xiaohua clapped his hands and said, "I didn't expect that the 3 of us will be recorded in history in the future." Of course. Xiao Mao smiled and said, 3 Foundation establishment disciples killing a 3rd-grade illusory swordsman. This is also rare in the history of the war between Dao cultivators. If we don't go down in history, who will? Extreme joy begets sorrow. Extreme joy begets sorrow. Xiao Hua whispered, it's better to keep a low profile. Don't let others keep an eye on us. Maybe, after the war, there will be many cultivators looking for us to learn from each other. Io, isn't that so? This is big trouble. Xiao Mao came to a realization. All these don't matter. Li Zongbao waved his hand and said, because of this, the special task force of the conference hall, junior brother Xiao Mao, if you have any problems, you can directly look for me, or look for your big brother Xiao to solve it. And if junior brother Xiao has any problems, you can also look for me and junior brother Xiao Mao to solve it. This matter has already been discussed by my master and martial uncle Gao Wei of Xuanyan cult, and at the same time, it has also been approved by the various masters in the conference hall. The news has already been sent to the Imperial Thunder Sect along with the battle report. Chapter 2703. Oh, I see. Xiao Hua immediately understood that the special task force of the meeting hall was not only about the 3 of them, but also about the Imperial Thunder Sect, Utopia Faction, and Xuanyan School. Sigh, these Golden Core Masters may not be good at war, but they're really clear-headed and open-minded in other aspects. Xiao Hua could only admire them in his heart. Because of the existence of this team, Xiao Hua, you could still listen to my orders. Li Zongbao said, if you don't want to go back to Sky Patrol City, you can patrol around. Later. At this point, Li Zongbao hesitated and looked at Xiao Mao. Xiao Hua understood that Li Zongbao was discussing with him about going to Luoyang. This time, Xiao Hua was caught off guard. He promised Li Zongbao to go to the Kai family in Luoyang after the war, and he promised Fairy Hongxia to go to Meng Mountain during the war. But he did not expect these 2 things to happen together. Senior Brother Li, without waiting for Li Zongbao to send him a message, Xiao Hua said anxiously, this, whoosh. At this moment, a messaging charm flew over and landed in front of Xiao Hua. Who is it? Xiao Hua asked knowingly. He picked up the messaging charm and looked at it, then smiled and said, Senior Brother Li, please wait a moment. Li Zongbao's expression relaxed, as if he was relieved. Xiao Hua waved his hand, and the communication talisman flew back. In less than the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, Fairy Hongxia arrived. Fairy Hongxia was familiar with the 2 of them, so she greeted them casually and smiled at Xiao Hua. You're lucky. The sword catacomb battle is over, and the whole war is over. And your matter is also over. You're only here now. Haha, I'm lucky. Xiao Hua replied with a smile. I believe Senior Brother Li has already told you about the situation of the battle. Fairy Hongxia glanced at Li Zongbao and asked Xiao Hua. Yes. Xiao Hua nodded. Since the war has come to an end, I should do what I promised you. Good. Fairy Hongxia smiled and said, I've already asked for leave from Uncle Xiangming. I just need to come back before the nascent Soul Masters arrive in Sky Patrol City. If it's convenient for you. It's convenient. Xiao Hua did not wait for Fairy Hongxia to finish speaking before he smiled and said, This Xiao is still part of the special task force of the discussion hall and is under the command of Senior Brother Li. As long as he agrees, everything will be ready. Where are you going? Li Zongbao felt a bit strange, but he also understood Xiao Hua's hesitation. Xiao Hua did not know if he could reveal Fairy Hongxia's matter, so he glanced at Fairy Hongxia. Instead, Fairy Hongxia smiled and said, Senior Brother Li, please know that I have something to do with Xiao Hua. I'm going to Million Ming Mountains with Xiao Hua. This matter involves the affairs of my family, so it's not convenient for me to tell you. 1 Million Ming Mountains? Upon hearing the words of Fairy Hongxia, Li Zongbao's face revealed a look of astonishment, as well as an inexplicable and strange expression. So, Xiao Hua looked at Li Zongbao's expression and said apologetically, Regarding the matter of the red clouds, we had already made an agreement. The agreement was made during the war, and the agreement with Big Brother Li was made after the war. I understand. The strange expression on Li Zhongbao's face faded, and he said calmly, "Actually, what I wanted to say just now is also 1,000,000 Ming mountains." Ah, not. Xiao Hua was shocked, and he almost said Lu Yang. Yes, is 1,000,000 Ming mountains. Li Zhongbao confirmed again. This, Fairy Hong Xia smiled bitterly and said in a low voice, "Senior brother Li, my going to Million Ming Mountains is completely a private matter of my Kai family." Yes, I understand. Li Zhongbao nodded slightly. My destination should be the same as yours. Ah, the same as mine? Fairy Hong Xia was even more shocked. Xiao Hua glanced at Li Zhongbao, and then at Fairy Hong Xia. He understood that Li Zhongbao had misunderstood, but on second thought, he was moved by Li Zhongbao's infatuation. "Senior brother Li," Xiao Hua said in a low voice. "Could it be because of Tu Hong?" Li Zhongbao raised his eyebrows and said with some hesitation and determination, "Exactly. I wanted to give up on this idea, but when I saw you, Ming, I couldn't help but have some extravagant hope. This matter is extremely important to me, just like the growth of my cultivation, but it's already been decades. I think the white bones have already appeared." Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. "What decades? What white bones?" Fairy Hong Xia was confused. "Tell junior sister Hong Xia in detail." Li Zhongbao gritted his teeth and said in a low voice. Xiao Mao quickly bowed and said, "Senior brother Li, big brother, no need. My heart is clear to the sun and moon. Junior brother Xiao, you don't have to avoid it." Li Zhongbao waved his hand to stop him. Xiao Hua looked at Li Zhongbao's determination and knew that this matter was a knot in Li Zhongbao's heart, and now was the time to resolve it. "Hong Xia, do you still remember what I said when I brought your sister Kai Zhuoxia's body back to Luyang?" Xiao Hua turned to look at Fairy Hong Xia, and there was a trace of sadness on his face. "Sister," Fairy Hong Xia was stunned. After all, Kai Zhuoxia had passed away for decades, and as her sister, she often thought of her. She would never have thought that when Li Zhongbao mentioned it now, Xiao Hua would remember it even more. In an instant, Fairy Hong Xia's face flushed red. She seemed to have understood something. Her eyes widened, and she covered her mouth with her hands. She looked at Li Zhongbao with an incredulous expression. She even pointed at Li Zhongbao and stammered, That person that can't be told his sister is..." Li Zhongbao didn't agree, but he nodded slightly. Fairy Hong Xia immediately understood why Li Zhongbao had always been so protective of her. It wasn't only because of Xiao Hua, but also because of her sister. Instantly, Fairy Hong Xia's heart was filled with sadness. Yes, her sister Kai Zhuoxia was only a low-level female cultivator at level 6 of the Qi refining stage, and she was from a cultivation family, the nameless Kai family of Luyang. What about Li Zhongbao? At that time, she was already a famous genius cultivator in the Dawn Rain continent, and had already reached the peak of level 12 of the Qi refining stage. In addition, she was from the utmost happiness faction. Her sister was definitely not worthy of such a status. However, in addition to her sadness, Fairy Hong Xia's heart was filled with joy, and she had a new confidence in love in this world. That day, Kai Zhuoxia had used the sky-stealing sun-swapping technique to hide her beauty. Li Zhongbao didn't care about Kai Zhuoxia's appearance, but instead fell in love with her. At this time, he even wanted to accompany her to the Ming Mountains. Although Li Zhongbao didn't allow Xiao Hua to reveal his identity that day, that was for the sake of the Kai family of Luyang, and he had his reasons. Fairy Hong Xia's heart couldn't bear any resentment at all. "Oh yes, Xiao Hua." Fairy Hong Xia turned to Xiao Hua and asked, "The cause of my sister's death. You didn't dare to tell me back then. Now that your cultivation has reached such a level, and you've told me about senior brother and sister, shouldn't you tell me the reason?" Fairy Hong Xia had wanted to ask Xiao Hua for a long time, but she was afraid that Xiao Hua would be put in a difficult position, so she took the opportunity to ask him today. "Yes, of course I can tell you now." Xiao Hua nodded. "Actually, it's very simple. Xiao Hua had already told Li Zhongbao the cause of Kai Zhuoxia's death, and now he repeated it in front of Li Zongbao. Finally, he said, "That day, the actions of Misty Mountain and Flying Phoenix Ridge in Flaming Forest Marsh were their secret, and I didn't dare to reveal it. I was afraid that it would affect the Kai family of Liu Yang. Now that Flying Phoenix Ridge has been destroyed, Misty Mountain is nothing. So I can tell you now." Fairy Hong Xian naturally knew about the relationship between Misty Mountain and Shui Shui, and subconsciously turned away. However, when she heard that her sister had done so much for the Kai family of Liu Yang, Fairy Hong Xia's eyes turned red again. "Big brother, you found the location of the Fire Essence Flame Crystal. It's where Senior's sister Kai died, right?" Xiao Mao didn't expect that the Fire Essence Flame crystal he used was also the cause of Kai Zhuoxia's death. "Yes, that's right." Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. "It was when your Xuanyan cult got the news of the Fire Essence Flame crystal from Zhuo Qingyuan that we went to Flaming Forest Marsh." Sigh. Xiao Mao sighed. He didn't expect that Kai Zhuoxia's death was related to him. "But, senior brother, why did you follow me to Million Meng Mountains?" Fairy Hong Xia addressed Li Zongbao as her senior brother, and she had long regarded Li Zongbao as her family. Li Zongbao sighed. "I've long heard that the soul cultivators in Million Meng Mountains have a secret technique that allows people to meet the dead. Previously, Ma Jia wanted Xiao Hua to accompany Ma Jia to Liu Yang's Kai family. But, thinking about it, if I could meet Zhuoxia in Million Meng Mountains, wouldn't that be even better?" "Senior brother." Fairy Hong Xia bit her lips and nodded. "Since senior brother is so obsessed with my sister, I can rest in peace even in the underworld." "Oh, don't tell me. You didn't go to Million Meng Mountains for this reason?" Li Zongbao hurriedly asked. Fairy Hong Xia also hurriedly smiled and said, "Of course, I had such intentions, but I didn't expect that senior brother would actually. That's why I didn't mention it earlier. Since that's the case, senior brother naturally has to follow us." "Fine." Xiao Hua's heart was filled with darkness. "If he had known earlier, senior brother, please follow us to Million Meng Mountains." "Xiao Hua, what do you say?" Fairy Hong Xia glared at Xiao Hua and said, "Of course, senior brother Li's cultivation base is extremely high, and he'll be of great help to us." How could Xiao Hua not nod? "I'm not familiar with Million Meng Mountains, and it's actually very strange. If senior brother Li follows us, he'll definitely be of great help." "I'll go too." Xiao Mao hurriedly shouted. Why are you joining the fun?" Xiao Hua was unhappy for no reason and glared at Xiao Mao. He couldn't stop Li Zongbao from going to Million Meng Mountains, but if Xiao Mao wanted to go, he could naturally stop him. Xiao Mao shrunk his head and didn't say anything else, as if he was about to retreat. He couldn't ignore Xiao Hua's words. Unexpectedly, Li Zongbao pointed at him and said, "Of course you have to go. I don't want to be bored alone." Fairy Hong Xia's face was slightly red as she said, "If junior brother Xiao wants to go, of course you can, but you should first ask for leave from the Xuanyin School's teachers." "Yes, I'll." Xiao Mao's face lit up with joy. Woo, a sharp sound, similar to the sound of a sword, came from afar. A ray of light flew over an extremely fast speed and stopped in front of Xiao Hua. "Oh, my communication talisman?" Xiao Hua looked and saw that it was actually the communication talisman that he refined. He couldn't help but be stunned. Looking at Fairy Hong Xia and the rest, he whispered, "Who is this?" Fairy Hong Xia was in an extremely good mood as she smiled and said, "Perhaps it's a female cultivator? Che, how is that possible?" Xiao Hua had already thought about it. He didn't seem to have given the communication talisman that he refined to other female cultivators. "Why don't you see for yourself?" Fairy Hong Xia smiled. And Xiao Hua stretched out his hand, took the communication talisman, and sent his divine sense into it. It was fine if he didn't see it, but once he saw it, his expression changed drastically. He didn't have time to explain anything and said to Li Zongbao and the rest, "You all follow the disciples to Sky Patrol City first. Over here, a close relative's life is in danger. I can't not go. Once I'm done, I'll immediately rush to Sky Patrol City to look for you all." After saying that, without waiting for Fairy Hong Xia to say anything, Xiao Hua's figure flashed as lightning flashed around his body. He used the hibernating thunder escape and flew towards the direction of the communication talisman. Chapter 2704. Close relatives? Who could it be? Fairy Hong Xia could not help but look at Li Zongbao and Xiao Mao, who were bewildered. Shui Shui? Impossible. She's an Imperial Thunder sect. Then who else could it be? Li Zongbao looked at Xiao Hua flying further and further away. He flicked his sleeves and said, "Let's go. We'll return to Sky Patrol City first." From what I know, if Xiao Hua did not have a reason to go, he would not be in such a hurry. I know. Fairy Hong Xia knew that Li Zongbao was afraid that she would misunderstand and was explaining for Xiao Hua. She nodded and said, "It's good that Xiao Hua is going. We still have some free time. Let's use this time to rush back to Sky Patrol City and make some preparations to inquire about Million Men in Meng Mountain." That's right. Li Zongbao flicked his sleeves and flew into the air first. Sigh. Li Zongbao was so cold. Wasn't it because of Kaizhua Xia? Fairy Hong Xia could not help but sigh and said to herself, "What is love in this world? It makes people so devoted." After Xiao Hua used the hibernating thunder escape to fly for a moment, he immediately stepped on the sound of thunder and flew rapidly towards the south. He flew straight for the time it took to eat a meal before he stopped. He released his Buddhist awareness to look again and again, but he couldn't distinguish it. So, Xiao Hua clapped his hands and took out a message talisman that was emitting a faint black gas. It was given to Xiao Hua by Zhang Qingxiao. He used a little magic to activate the message talisman, and it flew towards the southwest again. Sigh. Xiao Hua was extremely helpless. He flew up and chased in the direction of the message talisman. In less than half a cup of tea's time, a strange black shadow also flew over from the direction of the transmission talisman. That figure was extremely light and extremely fast. It stopped about 10 zhang away from Xiao Hua, and the figure was revealed. It was Zhang Qingxiao's peerless and handsome figure. Xiao Hua had already seen Zhang Qingxiao's flickering figure through his Buddhist sense. At the same time, he also released his Buddhist sense to the left. Seeing that there was no one else, he couldn't help but look at Zhang Qingxiao, who stopped in midair. He asked curiously, "What? You came alone?" "Yutong is still in Huan country. Naturally, I came alone." Zhang Qingxiao nodded. Didn't you say you wanted to kill someone? Where is he?" Xiao Hua asked in a bad mood. Zhang Qingxiao raised her eyebrows and said, "I want you to kill someone. But they didn't say it's now. If I don't kill him now, what kind of message are you sending me?" Xiao Hua asked curiously. "I miss you, so I came to see you," Zhang Qingxiao said with a strange expression. "TSK, you better think about your sword cultivator sister." Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, "I still have things to do. If there's nothing else, I'll return to Sky Patrol City first." After saying that, Xiao Hua turned around and prepared to leave. "Stop!" Zhang Qingxiao shouted angrily. "If I had nothing to do, why would I look for you? Even if it's not to kill that person, it must be something important. What's so important about it?" Xiao Hua felt a little strange. "You have a group of devil cultivators from the 13 sacred sects behind you. Is there anything you can't do on this Dawn Rain continent?" Tisk, Zhang Qingxiao laughed. "You actually know quite a lot. If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place." Xiao Hua replied with a smile. "I've done so much to let people know. If I don't want people to know, how would you know?" Zhang Qingxiao retorted Xiao Hua without holding back. Xiao Hua's heart moved and said with a smile, "Why? You want to announce Heavenly Devil Sect to the public?" "That's right." Zhang Qingxiao raised her head and waved her hand. "When the time comes, my Heavenly Devil Sect will be famous all over the world. At that time, who knows how many people will want to join my Heavenly Devil Sect? Not to mention wanting to be my Heavenly Devil Sect's Vice Sect Master." Xiao Hua shrugged and curled his lips, not caring at all. He even snorted from his nose and said, "Whoever wants to be can be. This young master doesn't like it." "Your grandmother." Zhang Qingxiao scolded and shouted. "You want to be? I won't let you be. It's just a vice sect master. Why would this young master care?" If this young master wants to be, I'll also be the sect master. Xiao Hua muttered unwillingly in his heart. Zhang Qingxiao's heart moved, and she said with a smile, Io, that's right. Could it be that junior brother also wants to establish a sect? Xiao Hua was somewhat depressed. Facing this second senior brother of a devil cultivator, he couldn't gain any advantage. He still revealed a trace of flaw in his words. Even if this young master wants to, he won't pick any time. Xiao Hua hurriedly made up for it. At this point, he suddenly had a kind of realization and slapped his forehead. I also understand. The opportunity that the famous Heavenly Devil sect master is looking for is the great battle of nascent soul, Tao cultivators. Zhang Qingxiao didn't have the slightest intention to be angry for being guessed. She said with a smile, That's right, you finally have a trace of awareness and thought of this matter. This old master is avoiding nascent soul cultivators to establish a sect. What's there to be ashamed of? This old master hasn't reached nascent soul cultivation yet. At this point, Zhang Qingxiao seemed to have thought of something and said curiously, That's right, the sword cultivators have already led the Dao sect cultivators into the sword tomb. Why didn't you go? Your Dao sect disciples are probably going to die this time. Don't you feel heartache? This young master doesn't feel heartache? What's the matter? Xiao Hua blinked his eyes. He knew that although Zhang Qingxiao sent disciples to be concerned about the great battle of Dao cultivators and prepare for the establishment of her heavenly devil sect, this great battle was after all within the sword tomb. It was still very difficult for the devil sect's disciples to investigate. Even when the sword tomb changed, the heavenly devil sect's disciples didn't have time to report the specific situation to Zhang Qingxiao. Look at your appearance. Zhang Qingxiao was a bit puzzled. Haven't you always bemoaned the state of the universe and pitied the fate of mankind? Haven't you always saved the ignorant from water and fire? Why did you change your attitude this time? Oh, that's right. Did you finish giving out the spirit seeds again? Zhang Qingxiao's sentence reminded Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua unceremoniously slapped his hand and took out another storage pouch. Are you done? Zhang Qingxiao was really flustered and exasperated. This old master came to find you, not to ask you for rice seeds. Then what exactly do you want? Xiao Hua said with a smile and still threw the storage pouch to Zhang Qingxiao. Damn your grandmother. Zhang Qingxiao also laughed and took the storage pouch and put it in her bosom. She seemed to be the same as Xiao Hua. To anything and everyone, she had a feeling of being at ease. However, when it came to this mysterious junior brother Xiao, she didn't have any confidence. She had a feeling of having a guilty conscience, so when they met, they opposed each other with equal harshness. Sarcastically retorting was a kind of uncontrollable behavior. What you did, don't you know? Zhang Qingxiao laughed and asked again. Xiao Hua was even more baffled and asked curiously, What did I do? How come I don't know? On the contrary, you know. Where did you get the Buddhist cultivation method that you gave to Jiang Luer? Zhang Qingxiao said with a cold snort. After Luer read your cultivation method, she immediately fainted. Junior sister has never used the messaging talisman before, but this time she urgently sent a message to me. Luer is her favorite. The good thing you did. Don't tell me you wanted to clean up your mess. How is that possible? Xiao Hua turned pale with fright and said anxiously, That Buddhist cultivation method was obtained from the Yin-Yang Twin Springs Mountain from a Buddhist cultivator's storage pouch. Although I didn't practice it, it's indeed orthodox Buddhist. Even the Buddhist weapon in the storage pouch is very powerful. Whether it's orthodox Buddhist or not, I don't know. I'm only the sect leader of the heavenly demonic sect, not the sect leader of the Buddhist sect. Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand and said, This matter started because of you, so you have to solve it. If I don't look for you, who else should I look for? Why didn't you tell me earlier about such a big matter? Xiao Hua said anxiously. Why are you still dawdling here with me? Xiao Hua said, and was about to fly into the air. Now you're anxious. Zhang Qingxiao sneered. Luer has been unconscious for many days. According to junior sister, his life is not in danger. Besides, Why didn't you go to the Sky Patrol City to use the teleportation formation? Why did you fly to the wilderness in the south? I know there's a teleportation formation in the Sky Patrol City, Xiaohua said evasively. Ha ha! You killed Tu Hong, right? Zhang Qingxiao laughed. You really have guts. You actually killed Tu Hong in front of a Shui region sage. This kind of thing, even I wouldn't dare to do it. That bastard Tu Hong deserves to die. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhang Qingxiao. He didn't hide it and said hatefully he plotted to kill hundreds of thousands of disciples and even wanted to harm the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect. If I don't kill him, who should I kill? You killed him to your heart's content, Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. From what I can see, apart from Tu Hong, who's a talented commander, the rest of the Dao Sect cultivators are just a motley crew. By killing Tu Hong, you are personally leading the Dao Sect cultivators to destruction. So what if it's destruction? This kind of person who offends the heavens and reason can't be allowed to live in this world, even if he has great talent, Xiaohua said unceremoniously. TSK. What right do you have to say that? Zhang Qingxiao smirked. That's what I want to do. So what? Xiaohua sneered. Are you going to leave or not? Haha, of course I'm leaving, but you have to wait a moment. Zhang Qingxiao stretched out a finger and shook it slightly. Xiaohua suddenly realized that Zhang Qingxiao didn't have time to talk nonsense with him. So there was something else. Thus, Xiaohua didn't say anything. He clapped his hands and took out a few spirit pills from the space and put them into his mouth, slowly refining his true origin. When he was condensing his gold core in the sword tomb, he had opened up a set of Foundation Establishment meridians in an inconceivably short amount of time. The Foundation Establishment realm of this set of meridians was extremely unstable, and at the same time, it also led to the instability of his gold core realm. Therefore, his main task now was to stabilize these newly opened meridians and stabilize his gold core realm. Xiaohua knew that no one could answer him in this kind of situation. He could only cultivate according to the Foundation Establishment cultivation method. He would first refine his true essence, and after his realm had stabilized, he would then practice the gold core cultivation method. Chapter 2705. However, thinking of the golden core cultivation method in the space, Xiaohua looked up at Zhang Qingxiao, who was standing there calmly, and felt warmth in his heart. Although the two of them opposed each other as soon as they met, Zhang Qingxiao still helped him at the crucial moment. Thinking of this, Xiaohua's heart suddenly moved, and he said, "Second senior brother." "Oh, what's the matter?" Zhang Qingxiao naturally covered her storage bag and said, "Why did you suddenly call me senior brother? Damn it, have I not given you enough things?" Xiaohua was angry. "I just wanted to tell you something, and you treat me like this? Ha ha, it's good that you don't want things." Zhang Qingxiao was relieved and raised her eyebrows. "What is it? Good or bad?" "Bad," Xiaohua said decisively. "Oh." Zhang Qingxiao's expression froze. "Is it related to Yellow Flower Ridge?" "No, it's related to Zhang Yutong." "Oh." Zhang Qingxiao's expression relaxed. "What happened to Yutong?" Xiaohua originally wanted to tease Zhang Qingxiao, but thinking of his concern for Zhang Yutong, he didn't dare to speak carelessly. He just shook his head and said, "It's not about Zhang Yutong, it's about Zhang Yuha." "Oh, Zhang Yuha? She actually appeared in the Battle of Dao Cultivators?" Zhang Qingxiao was stunned. Zhang Yuha was originally a chess piece that he had set up. Who would have thought that Zhang Yuha would suddenly disappear when she returned to Huan country, disrupting his plan? But fortunately, in the end, the great battle between Dao cultivators still broke out. Although he had not achieved his goal of killing Yuaniing cultivators, the Heavenly Devil sect was about to take shape. Today, when he suddenly heard Xiaohua mention Zhang Yuha, it really surprised him. She didn't appear in the Battle of Dao Cultivators. She died. Xiaohua shook his head, secretly wondering if he should tell Zhang Qingxiao about the Yu family on Fallen Gold Mountain. How did she die? Did he die before, but did he die now? Zhang Qingxiao asked as expected. She died now. Xiaohua hesitated for a moment and said softly. Zhang Qingxiao heard and seemed relieved. She nodded and said, "That's good. If that's the case, it has nothing to do with me. I don't need to listen to Yutong's nagging anymore." Then, Zhang Qingxiao didn't ask another word. Zhang Qingxiao didn't ask anymore, but Xiaohua felt somewhat uncomfortable. After all, Zhang Yuhe was Zhang Yutong's twin sister. Xiaohua had to tell Zhang Yutong about her death. Thinking of this, Xiaohua clapped his hands and took out the yin-yang sword gourd. He handed it to Zhang Qingxiao and said, "Look at what this is." Zhang Qingxiao didn't even look at Xiaohua. She unceremoniously took it, looked at it again, and said, "It seems to be a sword cultivator's yin-yang sword gourd, but how did it become one? And there are actually two types of yin and yang in it. It's a little strange." Xiaohua couldn't help but be envious of Zhang Qingxiao's vast knowledge. At the same time, his heart was moved. He originally wanted to ask Zhang Qingxiao about the origin of the small fight, but now he wanted to know if this small fight could stump Zhang Qingxiao. Zhang Qingxiao could not see anything strange and naturally looked at Xiaohua. He knew that Xiaohua would not take out the sword gourd for no reason. This is the great yin-yang six directions sword spirit. Xiaohua pointed his hand. That day, Zhang Yuhe and Zhang Yutong came to Meng for this. How could this be the great yin-yang six directions sword spirit? Zhang Qingxiao laughed. Yutong told me that day, and my disciples also paid attention to it. But the conditions to refine the great yin-yang six directions sword spirit are too harsh, and the materials needed are too rare. I still have to worry about the establishment of the sect, so I didn't pay attention to her. Could it be that you want to give this to Yutong? Don't even think about it. Xiaohua shook his head and said, "This is indeed the great yin-yang six directions sword spirit. Zhang Yuhe is one of the six directions yin spirits." What? She was actually refined into a six directions yin spirit? Zhang Qingxiao was also in extreme disbelief, and then he laughed loudly. "Ha ha! The heavenly Tao is really retribution." She always wanted to refine others into sword spirits, but now she was too smart and caused Qingqing's life. She herself was refined into a sword spirit. What a joke! Hearing Zhang Qingxiao's words, Xiaohua already knew that Zhang Qingxiao must know the refining method of the great yin-yang six directions sword spirit. Quick! Xiaohua didn't say anything. He made a sword sign and pointed his finger. Two green and red sword lights soared into the sky. As soon as the sword lights flew out, Zhang Qingxiao's expression changed drastically, and an inexplicable fear appeared on his face. Keep! Xiaohua wasn't very familiar with the control of the yin-yang sword gourd, so he didn't dare to demonstrate it. He hurriedly kept it and looked at Zhang Qingxiao's deflated expression with a smile, asking, "Could it be that this isn't the great yin-yang six directions sword spirit?" Zhang Qingxiao looked at the yin-yang sword gourd in fear, and the expression in his eyes was very complicated. After listening to Xiaohua's question, he shook his head and said, "This thing looks like a sword spirit, but it seems to have surpassed the category of a sword spirit. It seems to be an extremely powerful thing, but I can't remember it at the moment." Spirit slaying vital light. Xiaohua immediately thought of the name of the yin-yang sword spirit. What second senior brother is talking about? Could it be the spirit slaying vital light? As Xiaohua called out the name, Zhang Qingxiao's face showed a look of realization. Yes, it's the spirit slaying vital light. But then Zhang Qingxiao shook his head again. No, this is not the real spirit slaying vital light. The real spirit slaying vital light is pale white. Oh, I understand. This is the spirit slaying vital light that hasn't been refined yet. Oh my, it's really the most ferocious thing in the demon realm. Zhang Qingxiao almost shrank his neck. This is just the spirit slaying vital light that hasn't been refined yet, but it has such power. I can't resist it. Then Zhang Qingxiao laughed again. Ha ha, the heavens are really helping me. Junior brother has this spirit slaying vital light. Why would I be afraid of someone from the devil's sect? You're thinking too much. Xiao Hua sneered. I just got this thing and haven't refined it yet. I don't even know how to use it. That's easy. Zhang Qingxiao beamed with joy and returned the yin-yang sword gourd to Xiao Hua. He slapped his forehead with his palm, and a strange fluctuation rippled out from between his eyebrows. In an instant, it covered Zhang Qingxiao. Then, the fluctuation seeped out traces of black smoke. The black smoke extended out like tentacles and danced with the fluctuation, gradually covering Zhang Qingxiao's figure. Xiao Hua naturally knew that Zhang Qingxiao was using the Devil's Sect's secret technique, so he released his spiritual sense to help him be on guard. In the blink of an eye, the black smoke around Zhang Qingxiao's body slowly disappeared, and his figure was also revealed. However, it was obvious that Zhang Qingxiao's face was slightly pale, and it seemed that the loss was not small. This is the devil qi. Xiao Hua looked at the black smoke around Zhang Qingxiao and thought, if you want to cultivate the devil technique, you must have devil qi. I don't know how second senior brother did it, but if I ask, it will definitely involve his privacy. Forget it, everyone's fate is different. Why should I cultivate the devil technique? The refining of the 5 elements wishful heaven staff doesn't necessarily need the devil technique. Seeing the black smoke disappear, Zhang Qingxiao slapped his hand and took out a jade slip from his chest. The black smoke in his hand lingered endlessly. After a cup of tea's time, Zhang Qingxiao let out a long breath and threw the jade slip to Xiao Hua. He said, somewhat tiredly, Here, this is the refining and usage method of the Death Spirit Yuan Light. I used the Devil Sect technique to record it. You can also use the Buddhist sect's spiritual sense to check it. I won't waste any effort. Thank you, second senior brother. Xiao Hua didn't look at it and immediately put it into his space. He said very respectfully, Don't thank me. I'm doing this for myself. Zhang Qingxiao waved his hand and said, This Death Spirit Yuan Light is extremely powerful, and the refining process is also extremely complicated. Even if you're in the Dawn Rain continent, it's unlikely that you can successfully refine it. Xiao Hua was startled, and then he said with a smile, I didn't intend to refine the Death Spirit Yuan Light, as long as I can control it. I didn't expect second senior brother to be so generous. If it's just, here, I might as well give it to you all at once. Zhang Qingxiao waved his hand. Is that so? Is there still a golden core cultivation method? Is there still a nascent soul cultivation method? Xiao Hua asked shamelessly. Zhang Qingxiao covered his storage pouch and said resolutely, Don't even think about it. Do you know what the Death Spirit Yuan Light is? It's the primordial killing light that can kill all living things. Once covered by this killing light, all living things will have no way to survive. With this Death Spirit Yuan Light, it's more powerful than any nascent soul cultivation method. As long as you successfully refine this Death Spirit Yuan Light, who in the Dawn Rain continent can be your opponent? Che, you already said that this Death Spirit Yuan Light is in the Dawn Rain continent. Speaking up to here, Xiao Hua suddenly froze. That's right. Even someone as powerful as Zhang Qingxiao didn't know the refining method of the Death Spirit Yuan Light, and even the method to use it. How could Fallen Gold Mountain's Yu family know? The strangest thing was that Yu Qingtian was dead, and this Yu Tong seemed to be younger than him. How could he refine the Death Spirit Yuan Light? Of course, Fallen Gold Mountain's Yu family might also have an inheritance, but this inheritance seemed to point directly to the 10,000 demon realm. What's wrong? Zhang Qingxiao also saw the deep shock in Xiao Hua's eyes and asked curiously. Little brother was just about to tell second senior brother about Zhang Yue's death. Immediately, Xiao Hua didn't dare to hide anything and hurriedly recounted what he encountered in the Sword Tomb. What? 100,000, hundreds of thousands of cultivators, blood sacrifice. Damn it, is my heavenly demon sect a demon sect? Or is this Fallen Gold Mountain's Yu family, or Huanhua sect a demon sect? Zhang Qingxiao was really shocked. Even if I want to sacrifice cultivators, I still have to think about it, right? In this world, what is a demon? What is Tao? If a demon is good, then it's Tao. If a Taoist is evil, then it's a demon, Xiao Hua said coldly. Otherwise, how could I recognize you as second senior brother? Chapter 2706. I really don't care about letting you recognize this second senior brother. Zhang Qingxiao also sneered. I just see that you can see so far with just a foundation establishment stage cultivation base. So, I reluctantly treat you as my junior brother. Speaking of this, Zhang Qingxiao frowned again. This Fallen Gold Mountains U family is a bit strange. How can they have the method to refine the soul-punishing light? And they dare to brazenly set up a large array in the Sword Tomb to perform a blood sacrifice. In particular, they intercepted Zhang Yuha. Could it be that this Yu family is a descendant of the 10,000 Demon Realm? What kind of place is the 10,000 Demon Realm? Xiao Hua was too lazy to argue with Zhang Qingxiao and asked. It's a realm like the Devil Realm and Dawn Rain Continent. Zhang Qingxiao glanced at Xiao Hua and said hesitantly, there is a space channel between the 10,000 Demon Realm, Dawn Rain Continent, and the Devil Realm. So the three can sometimes be connected. The ancestor of the Yu family may have come from the 10,000 Demon Realm to Dawn Rain Continent through the space channel and lived here, leaving the method to refine the soul-punishing light in Dawn Rain Continent. What is a realm? What is a space channel? Xiao Hua's eyes lit up and immediately asked. Zhang Qingxiao saw Xiao Hua's joy and was also surprised. He naturally knew that Xiao Hua's memory had some flaws and knew what Xiao Hua thought of. Don't think blindly. You are definitely not from the 10,000 Demon Realm. Zhang Qingxiao shook his head. With your cultivation base, how can you pass through the space channel? Why? Xiao Hua hurriedly asked. Take a look. Zhang Qingxiao waved his hand, and an irregular plane appeared in front of them, bright like glass. What is a realm? I also don't know. Don't ask too much. I just got the inheritance of the Devil Realm. It's already good that I know this. Zhang Qingxiao pointed at the plane and said, for example, this is the so-called realm. You and I are all ants on this plane. Xiao Hua's eyes were bright as he carefully stared at the mirror, as if he wanted to find something from it. Just looking at the middle of this realm, you won't find anything. Zhang Qingxiao pointed at the edge of the plane and said, you have to look here carefully. Oh, here? Xiao Hua's eyes flashed. He saw that there were many hair-like twists and turns at the edges. This is called a spatial vein. Zhang Qingxiao pointed at the twists and turns that were as thin as hair and said, it is said that the middle of this interface is very stable, but the surroundings are not. It is even very chaotic. Perhaps it is the part of the interface that was not mature during its formation. These spatial veins, aren't there a lot of them? Xiao Hua was shocked. Probably. Zhang Qingxiao wasn't very sure either. These are all extremely mysterious or useless things for cultivation. I'm not very clear about them either. And then, what is? When Xiao Hua said this, his eyes suddenly lit up. He also waved his hand, and another mirror appeared beside him. Then he pointed at it again. The mirror seemed to shatter, and many cracks appeared. Many of them were intertwined with the previous cracks. That was a spatial passage. Xiao Hua pointed at the connection between the two mirrors and said, no. Unexpectedly, Zhang Qingxiao shook her head with a smile. She pointed at the intersections and said, these are called space nodes. Or perhaps it's a spatial crack. And why is it not a spatial passage? Xiao Hua was stunned. The spiritual energy of the two interfaces is different. Even the creatures are different. They are completely different things. Zhang Qingxiao calmly pointed at the two surfaces and said, the spiritual energy in their spatial veins is also different. Where the two veins intersect, the spiritual energy is unusually violent. The so-called spatial storm and spatial tearing are normal things. If there is no, damn it, I can't tell what cultivation level it is. Anyway, no one can pass through this node. Even the demon spirits of the 10,000 Demon Realm would be torn to pieces here. That's true. Xiao Hua pointed at the sky and said, if these spatial cracks can be passed through, The channels between the two interfaces are indeed too many. Yes. Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand again, and the numerous twists and turns flickered slightly. However, when they flickered, many of the twists and turns were annihilated. In the end, only a dozen twists and turns were still flashing. These are the spatial passages, Zhang Qingxiao said. Xiaohua bit his lips slightly and looked carefully. He saw that these twists and turns were thicker than the ones on the left. The twists and turns between the two planes were almost parallel. There were no obvious nodes between the two intersecting twists and turns. Instead, there were some places where they overlapped. Little brother understands. Xiaohua sighed and said, the spatial range of the nodes is too small. The impact of the spiritual energy of the two interfaces is too great here. It can't be used at all. And where the two parallel intersecting spatial veins overlap, the impact of the two types of spiritual energy will be buffered. Although there are spatial storms and other things, they are relatively small and easy to pass through. Zhang Qingxiao clapped her hands and said, yes, that's right. The more the spatial veins overlap, the more stable the spatial passage is, and the smaller the spatial storm inside. Of course, the bigger the spatial veins, the bigger the spatial storm, and the more stable the passage is, and the smaller the spatial veins, the smaller the spatial storm, and the more unstable the passage is. Little brother understands. Also, although the spatial passage can allow people to enter and exit the two interfaces, but because the spatial veins are extremely complicated, you see, there are other veins tangled together around it. This is simply a maze. If there isn't a particularly clear path, no one dares to enter. Zhang Qingxiao said again, as long as you get lost in this spatial vein, damn it, it's definitely a dead end. Fine, Xiaohua shrunk his neck. Little brother can even get lost on flat ground. This kind of place, little brother won't even think about it. You better not think about it. Zhang Qingxiao nodded and said, as strong as the demon realm. Even the corporeal body of the demon general doesn't dare to rashly try the unfamiliar spatial passage, let alone the cultivators of the Dao sect. Then, the passage between the demon realm and Dawn Rain continent? Xiaohua asked again. Zhang Qingxiao didn't hide it and waved her hand again. Many of the twists and turns around the plane slowly floated up again like water plants in the water. This spatial vein isn't unmoving. It even floats rhythmically. Zhang Qingxiao said, the spatial network that connects the Devil Realm and Dawn Rain continent isn't stable. Every 1,000 years, it would overlap and form a passageway or crack. The Devil Realm's devil cultivators and devil generals would be able to invade Dawn Rain continent through this passageway. The 10,000 demon realm is also ordinary. Xiaohua knew that Zhang Qingxiao wasn't willing to talk about the demon realm, so he asked about the 10,000 demon realm. That's right. Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand again, and another plane appeared on top of the two planes. Many twists and turns spread out on the plane and intertwined with the previous twists and turns. How many of these planes are there? Xiaohua suddenly asked. How would I know? Zhang Qingxiao was stunned and said with a smile, you can have as many as you want. It has nothing to do with me. Xiaohua smiled. He knew that Zhang Qingxiao didn't know about this. He stretched out his hand and erased the 3 planes. He frowned and said, if that's the case, Falling Gold Mountain's Yu family is a little interesting. Why did they come to Dawn Rain continent? What do they want to do? It has nothing to do with you or me. Zhang Qingxiao said lazily. Moreover, that Falling Gold Mountain has been in Dawn Rain continent for so many years. If they wanted to do something, they would have done it long ago. Why would they wait until now? I'm afraid that the ancestors of Falling Gold Mountain's Yu family couldn't survive in the 10,000 demon realm and fled to Dawn Rain continent. Ha, that's right. Xiaohua laughed, but there was a trace of doubt in his heart. He knew from Si Yinding that the Yu family had a legacy realm. Maybe they chased from the 10,000 demon realm to Dawn Rain continent. They weren't fleeing, but were preparing to find the entrance to the legacy realm. Why aren't they here yet? Zhang Qingxiao was a little impatient. She had talked to Xiao Hua for so long. After all, she was still worried about Jiang Luer. She looked to the north and whispered, I haven't come to Sky Patrol City for a few days. These guys have slacked off a lot. Sky Patrol City? Xiao Hua frowned slightly and seemed to think of Heavenly Demon's Sex by Feng Liang. However, Xiao Hua looked at Zhang Qingxiao's handsome face and held back from asking. He was afraid that by Feng Liang would attract Zhang Qingxiao's attention and lose his life because of it. Are you waiting for news from Sky Patrol City? After waiting for a moment, Xiao Hua probed. Well, the Battle of Dao Cultivators is related to my Heavenly Demon sect. I cannot pay attention to it. Zhang Qingxiao said snappily. You weren't at the scene of the battle. What you know is not much. Xiao Hua was about to speak, but Zhang Qingxiao frowned and said, You wait here. I'll be back soon. Okay. Xiao Hua nodded and no longer said anything. He stood there with his eyes closed. However, he had already taken out Zhang Qingxiao's magic bamboo slip and did not hesitate to immerse his Buddhist consciousness into it. After the time it took to eat a meal, Zhang Qingxiao flew back with a jade slip in her hand. She had a strange expression on her face. She saw Xiao Hua standing there as steady as Mount Tai. She stopped about 10 feet away from him and stared at Xiao Hua from top to bottom for a long time. What's wrong? Xiao Hua kept the magic bamboo slip and carefully calculated the magic bamboo slip in his mind. You? Who exactly are you? Zhang Qingxiao asked. Previously, I thought I overestimated you, but I didn't expect you actually gave me so many surprises. What surprises? Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. He looked at the jade bamboo slip in Zhang Qingxiao's hand and had a premonition in his heart. Chapter 2707. The sword catacomb has disappeared. Don't you think you should tell me something? Zhang Qingxiao's expression flickered. Also, don't tell me you don't know that Nameless from the Lightning Control sect who is pregnant? Also, what's that long Xiao? What about the 10-direction annihilation formation? The 4-direction sword formation? Do you need me to tell you? Xiao Hua said with a smile. 10-direction annihilation formation? 4-direction sword formation? What does that have to do with me? Zhang Qingxiao raised her eyebrows. The deaths of so many sword cultivators and cultivators is exactly what I wanted. What I want to know now is why the sword catacomb suddenly disappeared. You just said the blood sacrifice formation of Fallen Gold Mountain's U family was to the west of the sword formation, where the entire sword catacomb was sucked away. You were there at the time, so don't tell me you had nothing to do with this. When did I say I had nothing to do with this? Xiao Hua didn't have any intention of denying Zhang Qingxiao's words. Don't tell me. You've really formed your nascent soul? Zhang Qingxiao's face lit up, and she almost cried out. If that's the case, then our plan? How could it be so simple? Xiao Hua sighed and slapped his forehead, releasing the pressure of a gold core. Sigh, you just formed your gold core. Zhang Qingxiao's face was filled with disappointment. She shook her head and said, Your strength is comparable to a nascent soul cultivator, and you can even scare off a third-grade illusory swordsman. But if you're up against a nascent soul cultivator, or even a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, I'm afraid the difference is still too great. Seeing Zhang Qingxiao's disappointment, Xiao Hua felt a wave of warmth in his heart. He knew that this disappointment was because his revenge at Yellow Flower Ridge had been delayed. Earlier in the sword catacomb, I was condensing my gold core, not my nascent soul. Xiao Hua pondered for a moment, then slapped his hand, took out the small bucket, and handed it to Zhang Qingxiao. All the phenomena were caused by this item. I want you to see what this item is. This. Zhang Qingxiao took the small bucket and looked at it for a while. She weighed it up and down. Then she lifted the small bucket with both hands and placed it in front of her eyes. A faint black smoke was emitted from Zhang Qingxiao's eyes, and within her pupils was a dazzling brilliance similar to Zhang Jihao's. When the brilliance fell on the small bucket, the 5-colored halo rippled back and forth at an extremely fast speed. After half a cup of tea's time, Zhang Qingxiao raised her head, and the 5-colored brilliance in her pupils flashed away. This thing isn't something that I can see with my divine ability. Zhang Qingxiao sighed and raised his hand to pass it to Xiaohua. Furthermore, I've already helped you look at the origin of the soul-punishing primary light. I'm afraid I won't be able to help you look at it again in a short period of time. However, since it had such power and was able to destroy 1,000 miles of sword mound, this was definitely not an ordinary item. I'm sure that 10 soul-punishing primary lights can't compare to this small bucket. I can only look at it, but I can't use it. Xiaohua took in a bad mood and waded up and down in boredom. That bored and indifferent look made Zhang Qingxiao's heart tremble. Damn it, that is the thing that destroyed the sword mound. You're giving it to me so easily? Let's go. Zhang Qingxiao didn't ask any more questions. She didn't even mention the mysterious dragon roar in the sword mound. She slapped her hand and took out a light flying boat. She cast a spell on it, and the flying boat flashed with a dark green brilliance and rapidly expanded. Although you're not afraid of the snow region now, in the Sky Patrol City, you're still not the opponent of the snow region. You and I better take the black jade arrow boat. Oh, this is your heavenly demon sex flying boat? Xiaohua was a little envious. Naturally, he thought of his Zhongbao's flowing cloud flying boat and the damaged thunderboat into space. Xiaohua had already gathered the materials needed to repair the flying boat. Unfortunately, he didn't have the time to check the jade slip to refine the flying boat. It seems there are still a lot of things to do. Xiaohua thought to himself. I'm short of time now. Yes, this is my heavenly demon sex black jade arrow boat. Zhang Qingxiao said proudly. Your Imperial Thunder sect has the Thunderboat, Seven Skills sect has the Flowing Cloud Flying Boat, and Huanhua sect has the Feathercourt boat. My Heavenly Demon sect naturally has our own flying boat. Come, I'll let you see how my flying boat is. After saying that, Zhang Qingxiao floated onto the flying boat. The dark green brilliance on the flying boat swayed slightly. It was a sign that the boat was about to set off. I'll see if your flying boat is comparable to my Imperial Thunder Sect's Thunderboat. Xiaohua flew onto the Thunderboat and said without hesitation. Zhang Qingxiao's body flashed with brilliance. The faint black chi fell onto the flying boat from his hand. Sure enough, the flying boat soared into the sky and headed towards the south of the country of Xi at an extremely fast speed. Within the Imperial Thunder Sect, on the Thunder Immortal Peak, in the Great Thunder Hall, on top of 8 floating praying mats, neatly sat the 8 palace masters of the Imperial Thunder Sect's 8 great thunder palaces. Above the hall, purple lightning flashed faintly. Countless talismans flowed along with the lightning. Sizzling sounds could be heard intermittently, revealing the tranquility of the hall. Although the palace masters of the 8 great thunder palaces were present, except for Qian Lazy, who had a red face, when his gaze swept across the faces of the other 7 people, including Fairy Xianhua. All of them had their eyes lowered as if they were looking at the floor of the hall. They didn't even breathe loudly. Jin Sheng. Oh, Sheng Yunzi, Dui, Jia. How's the disciple recruitment this time? After Qian Lazy looked at everyone one by one, his brows furrowed. His gaze fell on the last 2 people. Those 2 were the Palace Master of the Imperial Thunder Palace, Jin Sheng, and the Palace Master of the Imperial Thunder Palace, Dui Jia. However, at this time, Jin Sheng's cultivation had already reached the early nascent soul stage. His appearance had also changed to that of a young scholar, looking to be in his 20s. As for Dui Jia, her hair was still white, and she looked very old. When Dui Jia heard Qian Lazy's question, she let out a sigh of relief. She glanced at Sheng Yunzi, who already had a Dharma name, and hurriedly replied, Yes, as Sectmaster knows, it's getting more and more difficult to find disciples with lightning attribute physiques. The earlier testing methods have gradually lost their effectiveness. In the past, we could find 1 disciple in 10,000 children. Now, even if we double the number, we still can't find a disciple. What about the disciples with fire attribute? Obviously, Qian Lazy was somewhat dissatisfied with this answer. However, it was within his expectations. Although he frowned, he didn't blame her. The disciples with fire attribute are the same as before. In fact, there are even more disciples with fire attribute. Jie continued, but the physiques of these disciples can't be completely tested. Many of them can only be confirmed after some simple cultivation. Of course, the rogue cultivators who have already started cultivating can be determined after a simple test. But these cultivators, I don't dare to recruit too many. Jie hesitated for a moment before continuing. Now that there is a war between cultivators, the 3 cultivation countries are in turmoil. Many sects, even sword cultivators, have taken advantage of the great loss of our cultivators and the fact that other sects are vigorously recruiting disciples to send their spies to our Imperial Thunder sect. When Jie mentioned that the Imperial Thunder sect swordsmen had suffered a great loss, Qian lazy snorted and coldly asked, "What about the disciples in the sect?" The disciples in the sect seem to be less than before. Jie hesitated. "How much less?" Qian lazy asked. "At least 20%. They only know how to cultivate. They don't even think about the future of our Imperial Thunder sect." Qian lazy snorted again. "Why do you want them to dual cultivate? Isn't it just to let them give birth to disciples for our Imperial Thunder sect?" "Yes." Jie's voice was very low. She didn't dare not answer, but she didn't know how to answer either. "Sect Master." Sheng Yunzi bowed and said, "You can't blame the dual cultivating disciples of our Imperial Thunder sect. The change in the spiritual energy of this world is also a kind of pressure on them. Everyone wants to enter the next realm before their lifespan is up. This dual cultivation, naturally, the birth of children will be neglected a lot." Qian Lazy originally wanted to scold Sheng Yunzi, but when he saw Sheng Yunzi's young face, he restrained himself and coldly asked, "Do you have any ideas? Since Sect Master gave the order to recruit disciples every year, I have carefully checked the qualifications and conditions of the recruited disciples. I found something special," Sheng Yunzi said with confidence. "Oh, tell me." Qian Lazy raised his eyebrows and nodded. "First of all, I found that although the physiques of those rogue cultivators are easy to identify after they entered our Imperial Thunder sect, their progress is extremely limited. Now, just like what Dui Ling said, the quality of these disciples is mixed. Our Imperial Thunder sect is taking too much risk. In the future, we need to accept fewer of these disciples." Seeing that Qian Lazy didn't say anything, Sheng Yunzi continued. "Secondly, although the number of aristocratic family disciples joining our Imperial Thunder sect is less than before, every one of them has made great progress. Some of them have even surpassed the blood relatives of our sect. In the future, our Imperial Thunder sect should accept more disciples from aristocratic families. There are too many disciples from aristocratic families. It's not easy to control them." Jie retorted. "They can easily create a lot of big and small circles within the Imperial Thunder sect, causing the disciples of our Imperial Thunder sect to be divided. This situation has existed for thousands of years," Sheng Yunzi said with a faint smile. "Besides, where are there no circles? Where are there no barriers? Not to mention the cultivators. Even the people of the secular world are ordinary." "Continue," Qian Lazy said impatiently. "Thirdly, we need to find a way to identify disciples' physiques as soon as possible." Now, but before Sheng Yunzi finished, Qian Lazy said coldly, "This is also a cliché. If this sect could find it, I would have already told you." "Yes, this subordinate understands," Sheng Yunzi hurriedly added. "As for the fourth point, I feel that we should focus on recruiting young children." "Bullshit." Qian Lazy finally couldn't help but curse. "I know all of this. Sect Master, please calm down." Fairy Xianhua hurriedly persuaded. "Let Sheng Yunzi finish. Hurry up and say it." Qian Lazy's chest heaved up and down. Obviously, he was very angry. "Yes, after my observation, I found that 40% of the 100 young children recruited into my Imperial Thunder sect came from the border between Xi and Ming. This is rare in the past," Shang Yunzi hurriedly said with a smile. "Although this subordinate doesn't know the reason, if Sect Master sends more people to the border of Ming, or even deep into Ming, this subordinate thinks that there will be a big harvest. Chapter 2708. Oh, Qian Lazy raised his eyebrows and looked at Dui Jia. Is what Xing Yunzi said true? Dui Jia was stunned and said embarrassedly, I really didn't think about it. I haven't carefully checked the origin of the female disciples of Dui Lei Palace. After all, these disciples were scattered all over the country of Shi. If what Sheng Yunzi said is reasonable, and your Dui Lei Palace is the same, then your two Lei Palaces should send more people to Mongolia. Qian Lazy waved his hand and said, Now, my Imperial Thunder sect is lacking in disciples. You two have to work harder. Previously, let go of those harsh conditions. Yes, we understand. Sheng Yunzi and Dui Jia finally heaved a sigh of relief. Dui Jia, I heard that you didn't get off the Thunderboat when you went to Sky Patrol City? Qian Lazy couldn't help but look at Dui Jia and ask. Dui Jia heard and showed anger on her face. She bowed and said, That's right. How could Shui not know that Tu Hong from Sky Patrol City treated my Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples in such a despicable manner? He even hid it from the sect master and the cultivators of the 3 cultivation countries. If Sword Cultivator didn't expose this matter, wouldn't my Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples have fallen into their trap? If I went to Sky Patrol City, I would become the laughingstock of other sections. How could I get off the Thunderboat? How could I meet the Gold Core Realm cultivators in the conference hall? Well, Qian Lazy was expressionless. Even if you didn't go to the conference hall, you should have paid a visit to Shuiyu. After all, he's a nascent Soul Realm cultivator. I know my mistake. Dui Jie bowed and said, Well, it's not a mistake. Qian Lazy waved his hand and said, Sky Patrol City is just a Shuiyu cultivator. In the past 10 years, my Imperial Thunder sect has produced nascent Soul Realm cultivators one after another. Not to mention Sheng Yunzi, even Kuang Tian has surprised me. Haha, there's also Wu Ming, who is only at the late Gold Core Realm, who can use Imperial Thundershock. Fairy Xianhua saw that Qian Lazy was in a better mood and said with a smile, Wu Ming will reach the nascent Soul Realm sooner or later. It's not just the nascent Soul stage. Lei Tan's spiritual master hurriedly added, Even if it's the Soul Avatar, this subordinate wouldn't be surprised. Actually, Daoist Miyu hesitated for a moment before saying, From what this subordinate saw, the lightning escape technique that Nameless used, I'm afraid that Kansheng is a bit exaggerated. Master Qian Lei's eyes flashed as he looked at Spiritual Master Miyu. I've left the task of searching for Wu Ming to you and Spiritual Master Quangtian. Have you made any progress? Reverend Miyu bitterly smiled and said, The person in charge of this matter is still Crazy Heaven. Sect Master should ask him. Looks like you have no idea. Qian Lazy was a bit dissatisfied. I really don't know. Daoist Miyu said, Crazy Heaven has been investigating one lightning palace after another. Recently, he has not discussed with this subordinate. Summon Kuang Tianjinren. Master Qian Lei waved his hand, and a bolt of lightning struck the gate of the huge Thunder Palace. Yes, outside the palace. A guard answered and hurriedly flew away. Seeing that Master Qian Lazy's expression was not good, and he had asked about recruiting disciples for no reason, Fairy Xianhua hesitated and whispered, Sect Master, this Dao Cultivator War. How is it going? Previously, my Imperial Thunder Sect disciples had made a lot of contributions, and many of them returned victorious. In this war, my Imperial Thunder Sect can be considered to have made a lot of contributions to the cultivation world. According to what you said before, Shanghua Sect has already contacted you. Should we also prepare for the second stage of the war? Is Sect Master going to personally go to Sky Patrol City? This Sect Master hasn't decided yet. Speaking of the war situation, Master Qian Lazy's face turned a bit ugly and whispered, Let's see how Qian Mo and the others fight against the sword cultivators first. Sect Master, Fairy Yao Feng from distant Thunder Palace, who had been quiet all this time, opened her mouth and said, Although my Imperial Thunder sect is not a sect on duty in the conference hall, we are still famous in the country of Shi. Previously, Qian Mo's shady business with Sky Patrol City had really damaged the reputation of my Imperial Thunder sect. In my opinion, this Qian Mo doesn't have the ability to command a great war. When it comes to arranging troops, it's even worse. Sect Master, it's better to call him back from Sky Patrol City as soon as possible. Qian Lei listened to the two's words, and his face sank. He looked at the gate of the palace, as if he was thinking about something. Fairy Xianhua glanced at Fairy Yao Feng and smiled. Fairy Yao Feng's words are not without reason. When Sect Master chose Qian Mo as the Gold Core Stage Cultivator in the conference hall, I was also a bit surprised. This Qian Mo didn't stand out in the Heavenly Thunder Palace and wasn't considered as outstanding. Not to mention the disciples of Heavenly Thunder Palace. Even the female disciples of Earth Thunder Palace and Distant Thunder Palace are better than him in judging the situation and arranging troops. But later on, I thought about it carefully and understood Sect Master's painstaking efforts. Oh, why? Fairy Yao Feng was slightly taken aback. The disciples of my Imperial Thunder sect don't need to have leadership talents and the ability to intimidate the crowd. Junior sister, you just said that my Imperial Thunder sect is not a sect on duty in the conference hall. We don't make any decisions on war matters. Why do we need such excellent planning? Qian Mo's character is too conservative and lacking in development. It is precisely because of this that he can get along with other Gold Core Stage cultivators and be modest to each other. There is no need to have any dirty thoughts. Alas, in a great war, there are protagonists and supporting roles. My Imperial Thunder sect can only be a supporting role now. Fairy Yao Feng said with a bitter smile. One day, my Imperial Thunder sect will be the protagonist. Reverend me, you said very firmly. Fairy Xianhua's words are exactly what I think. This time, Qian Mo's mission is not to defeat the sword cultivators, but to protect my Imperial Thunder sect disciples as much as possible. Qian Lei finally spoke. If my sect sends Tu Hong, I'm afraid that in less than 2 days, my Imperial Thunder sect's 100,000 disciples will only be left with 20%. That's right. That brat Tu Hong deserves to die. Fairy Yao Feng agreed. To be able to use your own disciples and my Dao sect disciples as bait, of course, he has meritorious service. But with his hands covered in blood, how can he cultivate? What a pity that Shui Yu is protecting him. As for the situation in Sky Patrol City, Qian Lei ignored Fairy Yao Feng's words, and a worried expression appeared on his face. Qian Mo has not contacted my sect for many days. This battle seems to be in a stalemate. While speaking, Qian Lei raised his eyebrows and smiled. Speak of Qian Mo will arrive. Let's see Qian Mo's battle report. Qian Ping? Qian Lei flung his Taoist robe, and a mirror appeared in front of him. When he saw the situation inside, he was slightly stunned. Disciple Qian Ping greets Sect Master. Qian Ping was an extremely thin cultivator and only had the cultivation of an early gold core stage. When he saw Qian Lei, he was a little panicked and even stuttered. Seeing Qian Ping's nervousness, Qian Lei was even more shocked and said in a low voice, Qian Ping, where is Qian Mo? I'm a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect. Speaking of this, even Qian Lei, who had the cultivation of a middle nascent soul stage, felt a chill in his heart. He knew that in order to maintain contact with the sect, each sect had at least 2 people who knew how to use the secret communication technique. At least one of the 2 people was in Sky Patrol City. Among the disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect, besides Qian Mo, Qian Ping also knew how to communicate with him. But without Qian Mo's order, Qian Ping would never contact him rashly. If the situation of the Imperial Thunder sect was not so critical that Qian Mo had no time to return to Sky Patrol City, then Qian Mo had a problem. Sure enough, Qian Ping told Qian Lei the details of the battle with a terrified expression. Qian Lei's face was filled with shock and anger, or was extremely furious. Even when Qian Ping told Qian Leizi about Wu Ming, and Qian Leizi knew that the Imperial Thunder Sect had obtained the greatest merit in this battle, there was no trace of joy on his face. After Qian Ping finished his report, he stole a glance at Qian Leizi's extremely gloomy expression and said, "The Golden Core cultivators in the conference hall have made a decision. Because there are not many disciples left, they're going to send them back to the sect. I understand." Qian Leizi let out a long sigh and forced a smile on his face. He said, "You have worked hard in Sky Patrol City. I agree with the decision of the conference hall. The first stage of the Sword Principle battle has ended. You don't have to fight anymore. You can cultivate in Sky Patrol City now. When the Thunderboat of the Imperial Thunder Sect arrives, you can return." "Yes, I understand." Qian Ping's expression also relaxed. Qian Ping informed the disciples, "They are the meritorious members of the Imperial Thunder Sect. When they return, I will personally welcome them at Sky Thunder Peak. Every one of them. I will reward them handsomely." Qian Leizi encouraged Qian Ping in a very kind manner. Yes, Qian Ping thanks the sect master for the reward. Qian Ping's words finally flowed smoothly. After the transmission ended, Qian Leizi waved his Taoist robe, and the mirror turned into a pile of fireflies. All the nascent soul cultivators in the Great Thunder Palace were speechless. That's right, the Imperial Thunder Sect had invested more than 100,000 disciples in this Dao cultivator battle. Previously, more than 10,000 disciples had returned. Now, after the Battle of the Sword Tomb, they had been killed so miserably by the Sword Principle cultivators. Only 10,000 disciples were left. This was definitely something that no one could imagine. There was a dead silence in the Great Thunder Palace. No one knew how to open their mouths. No one knew what to say. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, a voice sounded from outside the palace. "Reporting to the sect master, Kuang Tian is here. Let him in." Qian Leizi seemed to have calmed down and said faintly. As he was speaking, Qian Tian, who had already become a nascent soul cultivator and changed his name to Kuang Tian, quickly walked in from outside the Great Thunder Palace. Behind him was a Foundation establishment disciple. At this time, Kuang Tian had naturally reformed his body. His face, which was only around 30 years old, was 90% similar to Qian Diheng. At this time, the usual arrogance on Kuang Tian's face had long disappeared. With a solemn and respectful expression, he came to the front of the palace and bowed. Subordinate greets the sect master and the palace masters. Chapter 2709. Master Qian Lei flicked his sleeves and glanced at the Foundation establishment disciple beside Crazy Heaven with a strange expression. Crazy Heaven was slightly taken aback, but he stood there obediently and didn't ask any questions. Disciple Jin Qin greets sect master. The Foundation establishment disciple saw that Crazy Heaven didn't speak, so he had to speak up himself and bowed. "Crazy Heaven, who is he?" Master Qian Lei asked. "He is a disciple of Jade Archive Hall." Crazy Heaven answered when Master Qian Lei asked him. "I met him outside the hall and brought him along. What do you want?" Master Qian Lei said impatiently. Which disciple's life spirit tablet broke again? Yes, sect master will know." Seeing that Master Qian Lei was in a bad mood, Jin Qin hurriedly took out 2 jade slips and respectfully handed them over. This time there are too many life spirit tablets broken. The disciples of Jade Archive Hall are busy counting them. Junior was afraid of delay, so I sent a batch over first. Also, the disciple who sent the jade slips last time hasn't returned to Jade Archive Hall. I'm afraid he accidentally fell into the forbidden area of the sect. Hall Master Jin didn't notice it in time. I'm afraid Sect Master didn't receive the jade slips last time, so he sent me another one. You can leave." Master Qian Lei finally understood why the news of Qian Mo's death didn't arrive until today. Naturally, he wouldn't get angry at this Foundation establishment disciple. He lightly waved his hand and signaled Crazy Heaven to take the jade slips and let the disciple leave. When the Jade Archive Hall disciple's footsteps gradually disappeared from the hall, The entire Great Thunder Hall fell into silence. Sigh. It's been hard on Xianmo, this child. Fairy Xian Hua sighed again and broke the silence. This old one didn't expect that he would make such a choice. That's right. Let me walk my path. I am alone, and I have no regrets. Xianmo, this child's heart is filled with so much bitterness, and how much he wants our Imperial Thunder sect to rise. Reverend Me, you also sighed with emotion. If he didn't have this ambition, how could he say such a thing? How could he do such an admirable thing? Sheng Yunzi bit his lips as his face turned red. He blamed himself. This subordinate didn't think that Xianmo would have such lofty ambitions and have such magnificent achievements. This subordinate is inferior. Previously, this subordinate had done some things and felt that it was amazing. I felt that I had contributed greatly to the Imperial Thunder sect. But now, compared to Xianmo, this subordinate feels inferior. Please punish me, sect leader. Forget it. Everyone has their own talents and goals. Qian Lei Zi waved his hand. You've done what you should do. Why should I blame you? Sai, it's not just Xianmo. Which of the Imperial Thunder sect's disciples who died in the great battle of Dao cultivators wasn't a hero of my sect? They might not necessarily lack Qianmo's ambition. They might not necessarily lack Qianmo's lofty aspirations. It's just that they didn't even have the opportunity to say it out loud like Qianmo did. Qian Lazy sighed slightly. He looked up at Quang Tian and asked, Gan Tian, how is the matter with Nameless? Reporting to Sectmaster, Quang Tian bowed. This subordinate has thoroughly investigated 4 out of the 8 great lightning palaces, disciple by disciple. But until now, there have been no clues. Slowly investigate. You should find out who this Nameless is. Qian Lazy nodded. Now, in this great battle of Dao cultivators, other than Xianmo being a hero respected by all sects, Nameless is a hero that all sects are grateful to. Our Imperial Thunder sect is the sect with the most meritorious service in this great battle of Dao cultivators. Nameless, what did he do again? Quang Tian was shocked. Xianmo, what happened again? In order to defeat the sword cultivators and protect the lives of tens of thousands of our Imperial Thunder sect's disciples, Xianmo sacrificed his own life. Kunlun sect's Yuan Zhongyu spread his last words to the entire Sky Patrol city. Miyu glanced at Qian Lei Zi and explained, as for Nameless, he even formed his nascent soul in the sword tomb. He broke through the sword cultivators' formation and used his own strength to deter a group of illusory swordsmen. He saved the golden core cultivators and the remaining 100,000 Dao cultivators from his sword tomb. Nameless formed his nascent soul? Quang Tian was shocked, but there was a trace of joy on his face. Our Imperial Thunder sect has another nascent soul cultivator, and I'm afraid so. Qian Lazy nodded. But now, we need to find out which Thunder Palace this Nameless disciple belongs to. Why do I feel that there is something fishy about this? Of course. Lei Zizhenren laughed. How many late-stage Golden Core disciples do we have in our sect? Which one of them has the hope of forming his nascent soul? But this Nameless has the Thunder Escape technique and the Thunder Summoning technique. Moreover, he is a late-stage Golden Core disciple. We have never heard of him before. This is really strange. Then, how many disciples are left in our Imperial Thunder sect? Quang Tian peeked at Qian Lei Zi and asked in a low voice. Our Imperial Thunder sect claims to have more than 100,000 disciples. In fact, we sent out more than 80,000 disciples. Previously, nearly 10,000 of them returned. Now we have lost 60,000. How many do you think we have left? Qian Lei Zi said lightly. Hiss! Quang Tian gasped and said in surprise. Only 10,000? This is still considered good. Qian Lei Zi sneered. Qian Ping said it clearly just now. Due to the special physique of our Imperial Thunder sect's disciples, the spirit-devouring array was less harmful to our disciples. The other sects lost thousands of their disciples in this battle. Damn it, that sword cultivator is too arrogant. His methods are too vicious. Quan Tianjinren could not help but curse. However, he immediately shut his mouth. Fairy Yao Feng, who had been silent all this time, spoke again. There is one thing that this subordinate does not understand. Sectmaster, please explain. Speak. Although Qian Mo died a heroic death, he had a righteous cause. However, this subordinate feels that he was not capable enough to take on this responsibility. This is a mistake in itself. Fairy Yao Feng said without any trace of politeness. Moreover, Qian Mo has always been a stickler for the rules. He even acted willfully. Junior sister. Fairy Xianhua frowned. The dead should be respected. Although this child Qian Mo had many shortcomings, he had our Imperial Thunder sect in his heart. Since he was willing to die for our Imperial Thunder sect, all his shortcomings are nothing. Sigh. Yao Feng, this sect master knows what you mean. Qian Lei sighed and said, You are blaming this sect master. This sect master did not choose the right person. Not only did we push Qian Mo to his death, we also caused 60,000 Imperial Thunder Sect disciples to die in the wilderness. Fairy Yao Feng shook her head and said, This subordinate does not dare to blame Sect Master. After all, Sect Master is able to judge the situation and devise strategies. Since Sect Master sent Qian Mo, there must be a reason for Sect Master to send him. This subordinate has always had this question, but did not dare to ask. Now that the battle has reached this stage, could Lord Sect Master dispel this subordinate's doubts? This matter is indeed extremely secretive. Master Qian Lei waved his hand, and a bolt of lightning struck the pillar of the enormous Thunder Palace. The pillar began to glow with lightning and surged up to the roof of the palace. Countless purple lightning bolts flashed and covered the entire enormous Thunder Palace. Actually, this sect sent Qian Mo because we had no other choice. Qian Lazy opened his mouth. What's more, you might not know that except for Qian Mo, a cultivator at the middle stage of Gold Core Realm, all the other sect's disciples are at most at the middle stage of Gold Core Realm. Obviously, Thunderming Daoist and the others were clear about this news. There was no trace of shock on their faces. Fairy Yao Feng nodded and said, That's right. Since the Golden Core disciples in the Imperial Thunder Palace are only at middle Gold Core cultivators, and there is not even a late Gold Core disciple, how can they fight against a third-grade illusory swordsman and win? This battle, our Dao sect did not plan to win. Qian Lei Zi's words shocked everyone. Why? Thunderming Daoist asked anxiously. Since you did not plan to win, why did you send hundreds of thousands or even millions of disciples? Are we sending them to their deaths? That's right, you're right. Lei Meng sent them to their deaths. Qian Lei Zi said coldly. How is this possible? Everyone was completely confused. Quan Tianjinren narrowed his eyes and seemed to be thinking about something. Qian Lei Zi looked at everyone and then at Quan Tianjinren and asked, How did you reach the nascent soul stage? Sectmaster, I had some luck and obtained a drop of Zhongyao milk. Quan Tianjinren did not dare to hide anything and replied. Qian Lei Zi did not ask further and only said, What if you could not obtain this drop of Zhongyao milk? I am afraid that I will reach the end of my lifespan and will not be able to reach the nascent soul stage. Quan Tianjinren said honestly, Now that the heaven and earthling qi in the Xiaoyu continent has changed, it is 10 times harder for us to reach the nascent soul stage. That's right, the heaven and earthling qi has changed. Qian Lei Zi pointed his finger and said, But who is the benefit of the heaven and earthling qi change? Seeing that no one answered and Qian Lei Zi was pointing at him, Quan Tianjinren could only say, According to what I know, some disciples of the cultivation families in the Heavenly Thunder Palace have improved rapidly under the heaven and earthling qi change. Yes, that's it. Qian Lei Zi clapped his hands and said, The heaven and earthling qi change has been going on for dozens of years. Our cultivation sects in the 3 cultivation countries have not found the source of the change and have not found a way to deal with it. However, those cultivation families have stimulated their true bloodline because of the change in heaven and earthling qi. Most of their disciples have improved by leaps and bounds in their cultivation and have the potential to surpass our cultivation sections. What do you think our cultivation sect should do? Kill. Reverend me, you said coldly. I am afraid that the other sect masters have the same idea, right? That's right. Qianlezi nodded and said, the other sect masters are worried that the power of the disciples of their cultivation sects will increase and they will not be able to control it. So they have been trying to stop it. The sword cultivators of the Huan country starting a sword Dao war is exactly what they want. Sending the disciples of the cultivation sects into the war is killing two birds with one stone, isn't it? But the other sects are easy to deal with. They have chosen a lot of disciples from the cultivation sections. Even if they lose 100,000 or 200,000 disciples, they may not necessarily lose their blood-related disciples. But our Imperial Thunder sect is different. Fairy Yaofeng said with a bitter smile, 90% of the disciples of my Imperial Thunder sect are blood-related disciples. This is where our sect is in a difficult position. Qianlezi did not hide it. Shanghua sect, Xuanyin school, Qiqiao sect, and Huanhua sect have all sent their disciples. How can our Imperial Thunder sect not send any disciples? Their numbers couldn't be too much less than theirs. Although our sect knows that this is Shanghua sect's scheme against our Imperial Thunder sect. But how can our sect deal with it? The only thing our sect can do is to remind Qian Mo that no matter the outcome of the war, he only needs to protect the disciples of our Imperial Thunder sect. And Qian Mo has indeed done so. Sigh. If the Imperial Thunder sect is not strong, then I am not strong. If the Imperial Thunder sect is weak, then I am weak. I want to wield my sword and kill in all directions, using my strength to control the heavens. Reverend Lei Meng sighed with tears in his eyes. That's right. Only now did the group of nascent soul cultivators know the bottom line of this sword war. Only now did they know the plan of the sect leaders of the cultivation sections. They could not help but lament the loss of 60,000 disciples of their Imperial Thunder sect. Furthermore, they also knew that although the loss of 60,000 disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect was considered small among all the sects, but the other sects might not be able to deal such a heavy blow. But what about the Imperial Thunder sect? Among the 60,000 disciples, most of them were blood-related disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect. They were truly capable. Although the war was cruel, the struggle between sects was not to be underestimated. Chapter 2710. In the Great Thunder Hall, the eyes of the nascent soul cultivators flashed with anger. There was a kind of indignation in their hearts, a kind of helplessness similar to when Qian Mo self-detonated, a kind of desire similar to that of when Qian Mo self-detonated. It wasn't that they were stupid or incompetent. It wasn't that they couldn't see the filth in this great battle of Dao cultivators. It was just that they had no choice but to go with the flow and submit to this arrangement. It seemed that only at this moment did the nascent soul cultivators truly understand what Master Qianlei of the Imperial Thunder sect was facing and what he was thinking about. Only at this moment did they understand why Master Qianlei had asked the two palace masters for so long. He had paid attention to the ordinary matter of the Imperial Thunder sect recruiting disciples. It was because Master Qianlei had long known that the Imperial Thunder sect would lose disciples. In order to prevent the Imperial Thunder sect status in the three kingdoms of cultivation, the Imperial Thunder sect had to seize the opportunity to recruit disciples. But obviously, the development of the situation was still beyond Master Qianlei's expectations. No one expected that the sword cultivators would be so ruthless and set up such a huge ambush. If it wasn't for Xiao Hua's appearance, the Imperial Thunder sect, no, the entire three kingdoms of Dao cultivators would not be able to escape from the four-square sword formation. Trying to be clever, but making a fool of oneself. Almost every nascent soul cultivator had the same thought after feeling helpless and angry. Sect Master, Crazy Heaven suddenly bowed and said, "This is the first time I've heard of such a truth in the great battle of Sword Dao. You've already reached the nascent soul stage. You'll have plenty of opportunities to learn this cruel truth in the future. Master Qian, Lei said lightly. Yes, I understand. Kuang Tian said respectfully. Sect Master, it is our blessing to be able to face this kind of pressure alone. This subordinate truly admires Sect Master. Alas, it's not that I don't want to tell you. Even if I did, it would only add to your troubles. After Qian Lei told the truth, he let out a sigh of relief. Damn it, Splendid Sect, Xuanyin School, and Qi Qiao Sect. They didn't even wait for me to say a word to the Huan Hua Sect before deciding on this matter. Yes, just as Sect Master said, the competition between sects is more important than the battle of Sword Dao. Crazy Heaven nodded and said, Fortunately, although my Imperial Thunder Sect has lost many disciples, there is still a nascent soul disciple like Nameless. I'm sure Sect Master knows this better than I do. If a nascent soul cultivator could cultivate the lightning escape technique to the Imperial Thunder Transformation Realm, then it would be a piece of cake for him to enter the Divine Transformation Realm after forming the nascent soul. This John Doe alone can make up for the losses of our Imperial Thunder Sect. Oh, Imperial Thunder Transformation? Qian Lei glanced at Daoist Miyu with some doubt. What, did Kansheng say something wrong? All right, the Sect Master understands. That's exactly it. Crazy Heaven explained. I interrogated Kansheng in detail. Because the thunder evasion technique of the Kanlei Palace is a little different from that of the Heavenly Thunder Palace, and Kansheng has never seen anyone perform the Imperial Thunder Scare, let alone a large-scale thunder-attracting technique. He somewhat overestimated John Doe's thunder evasion technique. According to Palace Master Miyu and this subordinate speculations, Nameless Thunder Escape Technique should be at the Imperial Thunder Travel Realm. At most, it should be at the Imperial Thunder Transformation Realm. For the time being, it has not reached the Imperial Thunder Shock Realm. So that's the case. Qian Lei nodded. That's right. If the Imperial Thunder Sect has a disciple whose thunder evasion technique is better than mine, how would I have any face left? That's exactly it. The nascent soul cultivators all laughed, but their laughter was not without bitterness. Although John Doe alone is comparable to 60,000 Imperial Thunder Sect disciples. Qian Lei said again, but I still feel that it's not worth it. John Doe was originally a disciple of my Imperial Thunder Sect, and he didn't enter my Imperial Thunder Sect for no reason. No matter what, the loss of 60,000 disciples cannot be covered up. Crazy Heaven smiled bitterly. Not to mention nascent soul cultivators, even children in the secular world would understand such calculations. He was just comforting Qian Lei. So, Gantian, you must find this John Doe. I want to see which Thunder Palace disciple he is. Qian Lei said again. Crazy Heaven shook his head and said, Sect Master, this subordinate wants to say that this John Doe, actually it doesn't matter if we find him or not. It's even better if we don't find him. Oh, why? Even Thunder Mengzhenren was slightly stunned. Didn't Sect Master say it already? This John Doe is originally a disciple of my Imperial Thunder Sect. Whether we find him or not, he's still a disciple of my Imperial Thunder Sect. He won't run away. Crazy Heaven explained. Moreover, if we really find John Doe, Shanghua Sect, Xuanyin School, and Seven Skills Sect will pay more attention to this John Doe. They won't pay less attention to him than we do. Rather than let junior brother John Doe have so many worries, why not let him cultivate in peace? What do you think, Sect Master? That's right. Your words do make some sense. Qian Lei's eyes lit up. He looked Crazy Heaven up and down and said, I only know that you've always been arrogant and despotic, but I didn't expect you to have such deep insight after forming your nascent soul. I don't dare, Crazy Heaven said modestly. In this world, people bully the weak and fear the strong. Even if I'm a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Palace, if I'm too weak, then Crazy Heaven didn't say much after that. But the nascent soul cultivators in the Great Thunder Palace all understood that Qian Mo, a middle gold core disciple, and Qian Tian, a middle gold core disciple, were completely different from when Qian Tian was a middle gold core disciple. What an arrogant and despotic. Qianlei clapped his hands. Just as he was about to say something, he saw some brilliance and fluctuations in the space in front of him. Qianlei was just about to wave his sleeves, but he frowned and said, "Mi Yu, this is a message from Shanghua sect. If I'm not wrong, that old ghost Sun Yunzi urged my Imperial Thunder sect to send out troops. You, today is your turn. I've already gone into seclusion to comprehend cultivation methods and prepare to advance to the late nascent soul stage. You and Qian Tian go to Sky Patrol City." Mi was slightly stunned. She expected that she would accompany Qianlei to Sky Patrol City, but she didn't expect that Qianlei wouldn't go. Crazy Heaven was even more shocked. He never thought that he would be able to go to Sky Patrol City. However, after Qianlei gave the order, he flung his Taoist robe and lightning flashed around his body. His figure disappeared. Miyu looked around and pointed with her hand. A burst of lightning appeared in midair. When the lightning dissipated, it was an irregular-shaped mirror. Qianlei, Miyu? Sun Yunzi's voice came from the mirror. "Where's your sect leader?" Sun Yunzi's words made Miyu uncomfortable. It was as if he was asking a child where his elders were. However, Mi was also helpless. Sun Yunzi's cultivation and age were indeed not something he could compare with. He could only respectfully bow and say, "Senior brother Sun Yunzi, my sect leader has already gone into seclusion a few days ago. Today is my turn to be on duty. Do you have any orders?" At such a critical moment, it's the critical moment of the Dao Cultivator War. Qianlei is actually in seclusion? Sun Yunzi obviously didn't believe it. My sect leader is only at the middle nascent soul stage. How can he be compared to senior brother, who is at the late nascent soul stage? Mi replied harshly. A few days ago, my sect leader was observing the sky and suddenly had an epiphany. He hurriedly handed over some matters and went into seclusion. I hope senior brother Qianlei can catch up to senior brother Sun Yunzi's progress after this seclusion. Sun Yunzi smiled and didn't pursue the matter. He asked, "Did your Imperial Thunder sect receive the battle report from Sky Patrol City?" I also just received it." Reverend Miyu's face immediately turned bitter, and she helplessly said, "This poor Taoist is also here discussing with the other palace masters, but Sect Master didn't pick up the message, so this poor Taoist can't contact him. My Imperial Thunder sect lost so many disciples this time, we don't know what to do." "How many people did your Imperial Thunder sect lose?" "There's still close to 20,000 people left." Sun Yunzi was furious. "Our Shanghua sect has less than 6,000 disciples left. What do you want to do?" "The Shanghua sect is big and powerful. It's not something my Imperial Thunder sect can compare to." Mi was really angry. The lives of the Imperial Thunder sect's disciples are important. The lives of my Shanghua sect's disciples are also important. Sun Yunzi said, "I've already contacted Lu Shi Immortal and Fairy Yingzhua. Although Fairy Yingzhua is practicing a secret technique, she still came out of seclusion to avenge the Xuan Yin School's disciples who died in the battle. Could it be that Qianlei won't go?" Miyu's face was crying. She smiled and said, "Senior brother Sun Yunzi, my sect leader just had a chance to break through. Please forgive him. How about I go with senior brother to Sky Patrol City?" Your Imperial Thunder sect is a place with hidden dragons and crouching tigers." Sun Yunzi ignored Miyu's crying face and sneered. "Wu Ming, who is in the limelight in the Sword Tomb, is a disciple of your Imperial Thunder sect. He just reached the nascent soul stage, but he suppressed more than 10 third-grade illusory swordsmen and destroyed the Sword Tomb. I'm really curious. Did Qianlei go to the Sword Tomb himself? Oh, definitely not. Even if it's Qianlei, it's impossible for him to destroy the Sword Tomb." Senior brother Sun Yunzi, this poor Taoist, is surprised again. Miyu said helplessly, "Until now, my Imperial Thunder sect still doesn't know who this Wu Ming is and which Thunder Palace's disciple he is from. Besides, it's clear from the battle that not only does the Sword Tomb have Wu Ming, there are also some strange beasts. How could this Sword Tomb be destroyed by Wu Ming. What Miyu said was the truth. But how could Sun Yunzi believe it? Your Imperial Thunder sect is the biggest contributor in the Dao Sword War. Qianlei Zi cannot go. At that time, not only will all the cultivation sects in my country of Shi thank your Imperial Thunder sect, but also all the cultivation sects in Ming and Lian countries. If Qianlei Zi doesn't go, where's the decency? How can he have the bearing of a cultivation sect in my country of Shi? Sun Yunzi said sanctimoniously, Imperial Thunder sect can't lose face. My country of Shi also can't lose face. Chapter 2711. Unfortunately, Reverend Me, you didn't relent, and shook her head. It wasn't easy for our sect leader to have such an opportunity, and it's the best time to break through to the middle stage of nascent soul. If we miss this opportunity, we don't know when we'll have such an opportunity again. We don't dare to disturb our sect leader's meditation. Of course, if Senior Brother Sun Yun feels that you don't want our sect leader to enter the middle stage of nascent soul and insist that we call our sect leader out. Don't. Sun Yunzi waved his hand and stopped Reverend Miyu from continuing. This is your Imperial Thunder sect's internal affairs, and it involves Qianlei Zi's cultivation. I can't forcefully interfere. If Qianlei Zi forcefully comes out of seclusion and can't enter the middle stage of nascent soul, I'll have sinned greatly. Thank you, Senior Brother Sun Yun, for your understanding. Reverend Me, you said with a smile, and Junior Brother Kuang Tian and my Heavenly Thunder Palace are discussing the matter of sending disciples to Sky Patrol City. If Senior Brother Sun Yun has any orders, you can send a message at any time. Kuang Tian? Which Kuang Tian? How come I didn't know that your Heavenly Thunder Palace has a Kuang Tian? Sun Yunzi was slightly startled. I Kuang Tian greets Senior Brother Sun Yun. Kuang Tian flew to the front of the mirror and bowed. Before the sect leader went into seclusion, he instructed I to assist Senior Brother Miyu in handling the matters of the Dao Cultivator War. Oh, so it's Gantian. You actually cultivated to nascent soul? Why didn't you hold a celebration for such a big matter? Sun Yunzi saw that it was Gantian, and his eyes flashed with understanding. Sigh, now is the time of the Dao Cultivator War, and my Imperial Thunder sect has suffered heavy losses. I occasionally advance to nascent soul. How would I dare to announce it? Kuang Tian sighed. If I was in the late stage of Golden Core, the sect leader might not send out of Sky Patrol City. Now I have to go. When the time comes, Senior Brother Sun Yun, if you meet the sword transformation old monster, you still have to take care of me. No problem. Sun Yunzi waved his hand. I also have to congratulate Junior Brother Kuang Tian for entering the ranks of nascent soul. Thank you, Senior Sun Yun. Kuang Tian's face lit up with joy. I've heard that the Shanghua sect's immortal seeking grass is a supreme spiritual herb that can condense a nascent soul. If Senior Brother Sun Yun is sincere in congratulating me, I'll definitely pay you a visit when I get to Century City to thank you for your kindness. Junior Brother Kuang Tian has reached the nascent soul realm, so we should celebrate. When the time comes, I will call Reverend Lu Su and Fairy Ying Zhuo to join us as well, so that they can be happy as well. After all, our state of Shi has gained another nascent soul cultivator. Sun Yunzi's expression was somewhat unsightly as he stammered. Thank you, Senior Martial Brother. Please thank Reverend Lu Su and Fairy Ying Zhuo on behalf of me. Crazy Heaven immediately thanked him. This, we will inform you once we have decided on the exact time of departure. Sun Yunzi clearly didn't want to say anymore. He quickly raised his head and said to Spiritual Master Miyu, your Imperial Thunder sect just needs to prepare everything. Yes, I understand. Taoist Miyu smiled and nodded. See you off, Senior Brother Sun Yun. Crazy Heaven bowed respectfully. When the transmission mirror shattered into pieces, Qianlei Zi's laughter sounded from the praying mat, and his figure also appeared. Sun Yunzi, this kind of evil person, is exactly what Kuang Tian and the others want to torture him. Spiritual Master Me, you said with a smile. Good. Kuang Tian, your thoughts are meticulous, and your face is thick enough. This Century City is really worth it. Qianlei Zi nodded. Who would have thought that crazy heaven cultivator would bow again and say, "Lord Sect Master, you flatter me. This is just a small Tao that can't enter the Hall of Elegance." That Sun Yunzi was just embarrassed to lose face, so he casually dealt with it with his subordinate. The one he is afraid of is junior brother Wu Ming. Only junior brother Wu Ming, this kind of mysterious person who is rumored to be able to destroy the sword catacomb with a raise of his hand, is a thorn in their flesh. Good. Qian Lazy nodded. Kuang Tian, we should continue to look for Wu Ming. After all, if we can find Wu Ming, our Imperial Thunder Sect will have some confidence, and our Imperial Thunder Sect can also help Wu Ming step into the separating divinity stage. This must be what Wu Ming needs, right? Yes. Subordinate understands. Crazy Heaven nodded and replied. But there is no need to be as urgent as now. Qian Lazy said again. You take Sheng and find the surviving disciples, as well as the disciples of the other sects, and carefully investigate. I will also find an opportunity to kowtow to the several old ancestors and make a good plan for the future of our Imperial Thunder Sect. Yes, subordinate understands. Crazy Heaven replied respectfully. Qian Lazy looked at Crazy Heaven and Sheng Yunzi and said kindly, You two reached the nascent soul stage one after the other, which is a joyous occasion for our Imperial Thunder Sect. But because of the war, we didn't hold a celebration for you. We have wronged you. Good. Sect Master understands. We were only able to step into the nascent soul stage because of the sect's strength. If the sect requires this celebration, we will hold it. If the sect doesn't need it, we can naturally choose not to hold it. Taoist Crazed Heaven looked at Sheng Yunzi, and both of them said the same thing. Good, good. The big picture is the most important. This is the true disciple of our Imperial Thunder Sect. Qian Lazy laughed and turned to Fairy Xianhua. Xianhua, I will go into seclusion in a few days. You could discuss all the important matters of the Imperial Thunder Sect. If there is a difficult decision, you can call me out. Of course, if it is not a matter of the survival of our Imperial Thunder Sect, do not disturb me from comprehending the mysteries of the late nascent soul stage. Sect Master, Spiritual Master Miyu, Spiritual Master Lazy, and the others were overjoyed. Sect Master is really going to enter the late nascent soul stage? You are not fooling Sun Yunzi? Ha ha, yes. Although I am fooling Sun Yunzi, I really should have made some progress. I have obtained the thunder-devouring bead for dozens of years and have comprehended it for a long time. All of you have made some progress. If I don't step into the late nascent soul stage, it will be hard to explain. Qian Lazy smiled. Congratulations, Sect Master. Congratulations, Sect Master. Everyone stood up and bowed. Now that Sect Master has entered the late nascent soul stage, our Imperial Thunder Sect will be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the three sects of the country of Shi. It is still early. Qian Lazy waved his hand. I don't know how long this seclusion will take. No matter how long it will take, our Imperial Thunder Sect will wait. Fairy Xianhua said with a smile. What a pity. This thunder-devouring bead was found by that child Qinghua. There is still no news from him. Qian Lazy sighed. As for that Xiaohua who sent the thunder-devouring bead, there has been no news since he killed Qin Jian. I don't know if he can survive the war. Rest assured, Sect Master. Heaven helps the worthy. Martial nephew Qinghua is a man of great fortune. Otherwise, he wouldn't have found the thunder-devouring bead. He will definitely return to Sky Thunder Peak safely. Crazy Heaven Cultivator said with a smile. As for Xiaohua, how can a cultivator who killed Qin Jian be an ordinary person? Although Xiaohua is only a Foundation Establishment disciple, he is very clever. The moment he arrived at Sky Patrol City, he established a relationship with Li Zongbao from the Utopia faction. In the war, even if he can't kill the enemy, he can at least protect himself. Yes, during the last reward, Qian Mo said that he wasn't in Sky Patrol City, but was sending messages outside. I don't think he will go to the Sword Catacomb. Qian Lazy nodded and looked at Thunder Meng Immortal. The first team of your Imperial Thunder Sect is indeed extraordinary. I don't dare. It is all thanks to Sect Master's good judgment. Thunder Meng Immortal was happy and quickly smiled. Forget it. During this period of time, I will prepare to enter seclusion. You can deploy the troops." Qian Zi waved his hand and said, "Your mission is the same as Qian Mo's, which is to protect the lives of our Imperial Thunder sect disciples. We understand. We will listen to sect master's orders." Miyu Immortal and Crazy Heaven Cultivator bowed and answered. Unexpectedly, as the sect master of the Imperial Thunder sect, Qian Zi still remembered Xiao Hua's first contribution when he joined the Imperial Thunder sect decades ago. As for this contribution, perhaps even Xiao Hua himself had already forgotten about it. After all, the thunder-devouring bead was really far away from him. What he was thinking about now was the teleportation device of the Heavenly Demon sect. Xiao Hua took advantage of Zhang Qingxiao's black jade arrowboat and set off towards Yellow Flower Ridge. After flying for a few days, he arrived at an extremely desolate place. In this desolate valley, under the snow-covered stone layer, there was a simple teleportation device. Walking out of this teleportation device, Xiao Hua flew toward a strange place. After a few days, he arrived at a secular town. On the east side of this town, in a large manor, under the lake full of lotus flowers, Xiao Hua followed Zhang Qingxiao into another teleportation device. After a few times, Xiao Hua actually arrived at the vicinity of Yellow Flower Ridge. Xiao Hua finally understood why Zhang Qingxiao was able to rush to Yellow Flower Ridge in an extremely short amount of time after receiving the message when he went to Yellow Flower Ridge to seek revenge. Similarly, he also understood why Zhang Qingxiao was able to find the Sword Tomb so easily. The Heavenly Fiend sect's teleportation array clearly already surpassed the Cultivation 3 nations. Although the Heavenly Fiend sect had yet to be established at this time, just based on this teleportation array alone, Xiao Hua faintly felt that the Heavenly Fiend sect would dominate Dawn Rain continent sooner or later. Second senior brother, how did you arrange this teleportation device? Xiao Hua found an opportunity and asked after a short teleportation. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Hua unhappily and said, "This is my Heavenly Demon sect's secret. If I was not in a hurry to take you to see Junior's sister, I would never let you know. Moreover, you can only use this teleportation device under my lead. As for how to arrange the teleportation device, don't even think about it." It's not that bad," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "Little brother has some attainments in the teleportation device. If second senior brother wants to know, little brother can be frank and honest. Besides, little brother still has the Grand Universe teleportation device. I presume second senior brother will also need to use it in the future, right?" Chapter 2712. Zhang Qingxiao took out the black jade arrowboat from her storage pouch and flew up. When Xiao Hua also boarded, she controlled the flying boat and sneered, "What do you know about arrays? The arrays on the Dawn Rain continent have long declined. My teleportation array isn't something the ordinary arrays on the Dawn Rain continent can compare to. If I were to reveal this array formation to the outside world, wouldn't the cultivation sects of the 3 kingdoms target me and fight to the death with me? As for your Grand Universe teleportation token, to tell you the truth, I don't care about it." Zhang Qingxiao glanced at Xiao Hua and said, "That thing is used by Ming to build a super long-distance teleportation array from the country of Shi to Mount Ming. I'm still worried about people coming from there. Why would I want your Grand Universe teleportation token? You should keep it for yourself." Speaking up to here, Zhang Qingxiao even exhorted, "Actually, according to my plan, you should destroy that thing right now. Let me give the Grand Universe teleportation token that can't be repaired to Ming so that he can stop thinking about it. However, I know you're the most stingy and can't bear to part with this thing. Since you can't bear to part with it, you should keep it well and not let others take it away from you." "This is really a hot potato." Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. "I can't get rid of it no matter what. Why can you get rid of it? You can't bear to part with it." Zhang Qingxiao hit the nail on the head. "You're the one who can't bear to part with it." Xiao Hua curled his lips and said, "I have the Capital Star Array here. Do you want it?" "Capital Star Array? You really have it?" Zhang Qingxiao's body trembled and the black jade arrowboat almost stopped in midair. Really, as long as you give me your teleportation array, Xiaohua said proudly. Unfortunately, Xiaohua miscalculated this time. Zhang Qingxiao closed her eyes for a long time and shook her head. I'm afraid. I can't promise you this. This teleportation array is the foundation of my heavenly demon sect. It's not a big deal to give it to you. However, I know that you have feelings for the Imperial Thunder sect. Who knows when you'll give the teleportation array to the Imperial Thunder sect on a whim. This is a huge threat to my heavenly demon sect. Besides, the Capital Star array is an ancient ominous array. Even if you have it, you can't comprehend it. I can't. Rather than holding on to this kind of chicken rib, it's better not to have it. Zhang Qingxiao added, Are you sure you don't want it? Xiaohua said somewhat unwillingly. Don't mention this again. Zhang Qingxiao was still very principled. She waved her hand, but when she saw that Xiaohua was a little disappointed, she couldn't help but explain, Actually, this teleportation array is different from the teleportation array on the Dawn Rain continent. When the cultivators of the Dao sect obtained the array, they could only study how to destroy it. It's basically impossible to set it up successfully. Oh, I understand. Xiaohua suddenly understood. Is this the technique of your demon realm? That's as good. Zhang Qingxiao nodded and looked into the distance. We'll reach Yellow Flower Ridge in a few days. You should try to comprehend the spirit-slaying light. I still need it to save my life. Yes, I understand. Xiaohua understood and sat cross-legged on the black jade arrowboat. He calmly comprehended the devil slip given by Zhang Qingxiao. As for the mind in the space, Xiaohua let it continue to comprehend the sword-controlling technique. Moreover, since Xiaohua sent all his primordial spirits out of the sword tomb and went through the thunder tribulation in the heart sword, he felt that these primordial spirits had a strange change. Although the primordial spirits had been separated, Xiaohua felt that they were still a whole. There were countless connections between the primordial spirits. At this time, although this feeling was still there, Xiaohua felt that the connections between the primordial spirits were gradually being severed. Each primordial spirit seemed to be slowly becoming independent. His perception of each primordial spirit was becoming clearer and clearer. It was far from the previous vague feeling. In particular, the speed of the primordial spirit comprehending the technique was obviously much faster than before. Even Xiaohua's own primordial spirit couldn't keep up with the speed of this primordial spirit's comprehension. Could it be this thunder tribulation really has death and life and death? Xiaohua was a little worried in his heart. That day, Little White Dragon only let me release the primordial spirit that cultivated the soul cultivation technique, but I released all my primordial spirits. Will there be any disadvantages in the future? The main primordial spirit's control over the other primordial spirits. Won't there be any problems, right? Maybe I really have to find some secret techniques that can strengthen the primordial spirit. As this primordial spirit splitting technique went further and further, Xiaohua began to have a bad premonition in his heart. He even began to regret his previous actions. However, just like drinking poison to quench thirst, Xiaohua clearly knew that there would be some problems, but he still had a fluke mentality. Every time, he wanted to see how this primordial spirit splitting technique would grow. Every time, he wanted to see the profoundness of this secret technique. Xiaohua even wanted to see what kind of situation it would be when all his primordial spirits reached great accomplishment. Moreover, for Xiaohua's cultivation, time was the biggest problem. He knew too many cultivation methods and secret arts, and the things he could cultivate were also too many. It was impossible for him to cultivate step by step like an ordinary cultivator, so he could only find a new path. Moreover, this primordial spirit splitting technique was extremely suitable for his needs. If he cultivated with several primordial spirits together, cultivating for 1 year was equivalent to cultivating for several years for others. If he wanted him to suddenly cut off his wrists, he would have to be resolute in order to do so. Not to mention, at this moment, he had only tasted the sweetness of the primordial spirit's splitting technique, and had yet to taste the bitterness. Everything was just a feeling. Seeing Xiao Hua closing his eyes and meditating, Zhang Qingxiao was very gratified. He tried his best to urge the inky jade arrow boat, but how could he know that Xiao Hua's mind had long been open, and his speed was even faster than the inky jade arrow boat? Zhang Qingxiao said that it would take a few days, but after flying for more than 10 days, they finally arrived at Yellow Flower Ridge. Seeing the familiar thick fog in his divine sense, Xiao Hua couldn't help but stand up. Zhang Qingxiao, who was steering the boat, also revealed a smile in his eyes. Yellow Flower Ridge is nearby. You didn't set up a transmission formation? Xiao Hua asked with some surprise. Yellow Flower Ridge is Yellow Flower Ridge, not the Heavenly Demon Sect. This is what I promised you earlier. Zhang Qingxiao wasn't surprised at Xiao Hua's question and replied proudly. But if something happens to Yellow Flower Ridge, can you be the fastest to arrive? Xiao Hua was dissatisfied. If something happens to senior sister, can you bear the responsibility? Zhang Qingxiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He scolded, "You're the one who didn't let me manage Yellow Flower Ridge, and you're the one who let me manage Yellow Flower Ridge. What do you want me to do? Do I care or not? I only said that I don't want you to care about Yellow Flower Ridge. I didn't say that I don't want you to care about senior sister." Xiao Hua retorted without any trace of politeness. "Humph," Zhang Qingxiao snorted and said. "You don't need to care about this. I naturally have a way. Didn't I arrive very quickly last time? You better have a way." Xiao Hua sneered. "Otherwise, I won't let your Heavenly Demon Sect have an easy time. Who do you think you are? You think you can shake my Heavenly Demon Sect?" Zhang Qingxiao was displeased. "You might have been able to before, but now? I'm afraid you don't have the strength. In the future, don't even talk about it. I'm not boasting, but in the future, other than my Heavenly Demon Sect, who else can be called the #1 sect on the Dawn Rain mainland?" I don't believe it. Xiao Huan naturally had his own fortune gate. He knew that the fortune gate's potential was definitely not inferior to the Heavenly Demon Sect. "If you don't believe me, I won't compete with you. Just wait and see," Zhang Qingxiao said through her nose. "Why aren't we moving?" Seeing that they were still far from Yellow Flower Ridge, Zhang Qingxiao stopped the black jade arrow boat. Xiao Hua said with dissatisfaction, "Aren't we just talking about your Heavenly Demon Sect? You don't have to stop us from riding the flying boat, right? Come down. I'm not as narrow-minded as you." Zhang Qingxiao scolded with a smile. "Yellow Flower Ridge's patrol area is not far ahead. I'll let you see if I've lived up to my promise to you." "Oh, okay." Xiao Hua came to his senses and jumped down from the flying boat. Sure enough, Zhang Qingxiao put away the black jade arrow boat and followed Xiao Hua for a few dozen li. When they were about 50 li away from Yellow Flower Ridge, several 10th layer Qi refining disciples flew over from the distance. These disciples were all wearing the 100 Herbs Gates uniform. When they saw Xiao Hua and Zhang Qingxiao, their faces immediately showed signs of vigilance. Since he was a disciple of the 100 Herbs Gate and was also a 10th layer Qi refining disciple, he naturally had some understanding of Yellow Flower Ridge. Although he didn't understand why Jiang Jiantong and the other gate masters had fallen in such a short period of time, leaving only Xiao Xinrui, the wife of the young gate master, in charge of the gate, he was astute enough to infer that something was fishy. Chapter 27:13. What? Isn't Jiang Fan at Yellow Flower Ridge? Seeing Chao Ming's expression change, Xiao Huan naturally frowned and said unhappily, "He left a message before, asking I and the others to come and find him. Is he at Medicine Farmer Peak?" Chao Ming looked at the ill-looking Xiao Hua, then looked at Zhang Qingxiao, whose face was as calm as water. He even looked at the nearby disciples whose eyes were flickering. He slightly bit his lips, bowed and said, "I wonder when Senior Xiao saw Vice Sect Master Zhang's message." This. Xiao Hua raised his head and thought for a moment, then smiled. Last year? Or the year before last? This Xiao doesn't remember clearly. So it's like that. Hearing Xiao Hua's words, Chao Ming had a rough idea of what was going on. Smiling apologetically, he said, "Seniors, I'll let you know. About 8 or 9 years ago, our 100 Herbs Gate suddenly experienced some unforeseen events. Gate Master Jiang and his family all fell seriously ill. Of the entire gate, only the young Gate Master's wife survived. However, the young Gate Master's wife was also ill. The original 100 Herbs Gate disciples took the opportunity to loot 100 Herbs Gate's foundation and scattered. Today's 100 Herbs Gate is being rebuilt by sect leader Xiao on the abandoned foundation of 100 Herbs Gate." "Oh, there's such a thing?" Xiao Hua was shocked. When this Xiao and Jiang fan parted, it seemed he was about to enter foundation establishment. "We cultivators, how could there be any serious illness?" Chao Ming smiled bitterly. "The specific situation, this junior doesn't know. This junior only entered 100 Herbs Gate 6 years ago. What about the previous 100 Herbs Gate disciples? None left?" Xiao Hua said in astonishment. "Yes, sect leader Jiang died, and only sect leader Xiao and young sect leader were left. It's already good that those 100 Herbs Gate disciples didn't take the opportunity to seize my 100 Herbs Gate's foundation." Chao Ming sighed with emotion. Under sect leader Zhao's planning, today's 100 Herbs Gate is becoming more and more prosperous, far from what it used to be. As he spoke, Chao Ming stole a glance at Xiao Hua's expression. This Xiao has seen Jiang Fan's dual cultivation partner. She seems to have the same surname as this Xiao. Xiao Hua coldly snorted and said, "However, from what I've seen, this female cultivator's character is irresolute and indecisive, far inferior to Jiang Yan. How could she possibly manage a cultivation sect to be so prosperous? What's more, Jiang Jiantong and the others died of illness. Didn't any other cultivators who were on good terms with them ask about it?" Senior Xiao. When Chao Ming heard this, although his face was filled with respect, his tone was somewhat indifferent. What Senior said is all Senior's conjecture and cannot be taken seriously. There are quite a few cultivators who are acquainted with Senior Jiang, the former sect master of 100 Herbs Gate. Even the 10,000 Flowers Valley once sent their disciples over. After all, Senior Yutsong of the 10,000 Flowers Valley was Senior Jiang and's dual cultivation partner. However, several years have passed, and the 10,000 Flowers Valley has not raised any objections. If Senior wants to go to Yellow Flower Ridge to pay a visit to my clan leader, this junior can naturally lead the way. But if Senior is here and interrogating this junior, please forgive this junior's rudeness. Oh, I'm a disciple of the Shanghua sect. Although Jiang Fan isn't a good friend of mine, I've met him a few times. As for his matters, I'll really ask more." As Xiao Hua spoke, he flung his Taoist robe. Not to mention Xiao Ming, even the several 7th-layer Qi refining disciples near Xiao Ming were imprisoned by Xiao Hua. Seeing Xiao Hua make a move, Zhang Qingxiao frowned. He hadn't uttered a word all this time because he wanted Xiao Hua to see his magnanimity. Xiao Hua's interrogation was one thing, but once he made a move, Zhang Qingxiao's face would be somewhat embarrassed. Although these 100 Herbs Gate disciples weren't personally selected by him, he still ordered the heavenly demonic sect disciples to do this. Xiao Hua clearly didn't trust the heavenly demonic sect, right? Moreover, this Chao Ming's manners were proper, and he truly had the bearing of a disciple of a famous sect. Senior Xiao. Although Chao Ming was somewhat flustered, he still hurriedly said, "Senior, you're a foundation establishment senior and a disciple of the Shanghua sect. This junior heard that the disciples of the Shanghua sect are the most impartial and strict. Senior, why are you making things difficult for my 100 Herbs Gate because of your conjecture? I just want to ask, how Jiang Fan died? What, death from illness or something like that? I don't believe it at all," Xiao Hua said coldly. Hearing this, Chao Ming sneered and said, "Senior Xiao, you just said that you have the same surname as my sect master Xiao. The old saying is right. 500 years ago, you were one family. Senior, you don't believe in your own family. So why do you believe in the rumors of others?" "Oh, what rumors?" Xiao Hua raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, "I never said anything about rumors. You said it yourself. Humph, Senior Xiao. There are no rumors in this world. When people talk about it too much, it's just a rumor. Chao Ming didn't fall for it and said with a cold snort, Sect Master Xiao on my 100 Herbs Gate is a female cultivator. So naturally, there are many sects that have designs on my 100 Herbs Gate. If Senior was bewitched by others and came to make trouble, this junior still advises Senior to stop. After all, the Shanghua sect is a great sect in my country of Shi. My 100 Herbs Gate doesn't dare to provoke the Shanghua sect, and we don't want to provoke the Shanghua sect either. But what if this Xiao wants to get to the bottom of it? Xiao Hua giggled, revealing his pure white teeth. Chao Ming sighed and said very firmly, this junior's cultivation is shallow, so I'm naturally no match for Senior and the others. However, this junior entered 100 Herbs Gate as a loose cultivator and has received a lot of favor from 100 Herbs Gate. This junior would rather live and die with 100 Herbs Gate. Good, live and die with you. Xiao Hua laughed and waved his hand, increasing the power of imprisonment. This is what you want to sacrifice your life for, so of course I can fulfill your wish. However, you only need to tell me the rumors from your mouth, and I can let you live. Otherwise, I will kill you all and then kill my way to Yellow Flower Ridge. Senior, spare my life, spare my life. Before Chao Ming could speak, seventh layer Qi refining disciple hurriedly shouted, this junior only entered 100 Herbs Gate last year. This junior is willing to tell Senior the truth about the death of the previous sect Master Jiang. Oh, very good. A smile appeared on Xiao Hua's face. With a wave of his hand, the imprisonment of the seventh layer Qi refining disciple immediately disappeared. He said with a smile, this Xiao knew it. Between life and death, there's bound to be some great opportunities. Fanja, Chao Ming was furious and cursed. You entered my 100 Herbs Gate, but what did this Chao do to you? Could it be that because of this little threat, you're pouring unwarranted dirty water on Sect Master Xiao? Fanja sneered. 100 Herbs Gate is only a thumb-sized sect. How can it compare to the magnificent sect? In the past, 100 Herbs Gate was able to survive in Yellow Flower Ridge because Senior Xiao of the magnificent sect didn't know about it. Now that Senior Xiao of the magnificent sect has come to redress sect Master John's grievances, does this 100 Herbs Gate still need to exist? Good, well said. Xiao Hua clapped and said, this young master is going to settle old scores with you all. Then, Xiao Hua said to the others, what are you waiting for? Do you want to live or die? The others looked at each other, their faces deathly pale. One of them saw Xiao Hua's question and hurriedly said with a smile, Senior Xiao, this junior entered 100 Herbs Gate earlier than Fanja, so I've heard about the changes in 100 Herbs Gate. But, as you know, the life and death of this sect is really nothing. What rumors? What's the use of saying so much? Xiao Hua sneered. This young master only wants to ask you all, do you want to die? If you don't want to die, you all naturally know what to do. Senior, spare us. Several people also begged for mercy, and Xiao Hua's expression was even more brilliant. At the same time, he felt somewhat bitter in his heart. At this juncture of life and death, how many people could keep their hearts? But the following words from several people stunned Xiao Hua again. Senior, please spare our lives. We've been disciples of 100 Herbs Gate for many years, and we're just ordinary disciples. We don't know anything about the rumors you've told us. Although we don't intend to live and die with 100 Herbs Gate, we still hope that Senior will be magnanimous and spare our lives. And that's already good enough. Xiao Hua nodded slightly. Just as he was about to speak, he heard Zhang Qingxiao say coldly from the side, why waste so much breath? Just kill him. Don't. Xiao Hua was slightly taken aback. Just as he was about to block, he saw Zhang Qingxiao wave her hand. An array of light flashed, attacking the disciple named Fanja. Thus, he moved but stopped. In fact, he didn't intend to kill him. At most, he would just expel Fanja from 100 Herbs Gate. After all, this was a choice between life and death, so it was inevitable that it would be unfair. But in the end, Fanja actually said that there was no need for 100 Herbs Gate to exist. For a disciple of 100 Herbs Gate, this was truly unforgivable. Senior, Fanja only had time to cry out in alarm before the ray of light hit his body. Fanja didn't have time to resist at all, and his corpse immediately fell from midair. Aside from Xiaohua, the others didn't even see how Fanja was killed. Ha ha, forget it. Xiaohua waved his hand, and the imprisonment of Chao Ming and the other disciples completely disappeared. Just now, I was just joking. Don't mention this to others. This is a little compensation for me. After saying that, Xiaohua flew up first, and before he left, he waved his hand again, and a few spiritual pills fell into the hands of Chao Ming and the others. Zhang Qingxiao paused for a moment, and her gaze swept across the people who were begging for mercy just now. The coldness in her eyes made their hearts tremble. However, Zhang Qingxiao didn't say much, and she also turned around and flew into the sky, chasing after Xiaohua. Not long after, she disappeared from everyone's sight. What's going on? Chao Ming looked at the spiritual pills in his hand. There was no medicinal fragrance on them, and he felt very puzzled. However, he was very clear that this so-called Xiao Ding of Shanghua sect was definitely not an old friend of Jiang Fan, and they definitely didn't come here to avenge Jiang Jiantong and the others of 100 Herbs Gate. As for why, aside from Xiaohua and Zhang Qingxiao, who else could know? That's right, why. Up until now, Chao Ming was still baffled. He had asked a bunch of questions for no reason, imprisoned them for no reason, and killed an aura-refining disciple for no reason. Then, he turned around and left as if he was some kind of expert. However, this matter left an unforgettable impression in the hearts of Chao Ming and the other disciples. Chapter 2714. Alas, that the Foundation Establishment Senior. We aura-refining disciples are nothing but lambs waiting to be slaughtered. What choice do we have? Chao Ming couldn't see the value of the medicinal pill in his hand. What the 100 Herbs sect lacked the least was medicinal pills, so he casually put away. Looking at the other disciples who were also in a state of shock, he waved his hand and said, "Let's go. Collect Fanja's corpse and return to Yellow Flower Ridge. We'll wait for Lord Sect Master's orders." Senior Marshal Brother Chao, what's going on? Those who had a good relationship with Chao Ming naturally had to ask, "How would I know what's going on?" Chao Ming shook his head slightly. "We're just children in the eyes of Foundation Establishment Seniors. They can do whatever they want with us. However, from what happened to Fanja, we have to follow our hearts no matter what the situation is. We have to ask our conscience before we say or do anything." At this point, Chao Ming's heart suddenly jumped. He turned his head and looked in the direction Xiaohua and Zhang Qingxiao disappeared. "What's wrong, Senior Marshal Brother Chao?" Everyone turned pale with fright. They thought Chao Ming had discovered the two of them had returned. "No, nothing," Chao Ming said in a low voice. "What I said just now seemed to have made me understand a principle of cultivation." Senior Marshal Brother Chao's words? Let Senior Marshal Brother Chao understand it himself? Everyone was puzzled. "Alas, that's right," Chao Ming sighed. "A clear conscience. This is the true essence of cultivation. Only in this way can our mental states be pure and our Tao hearts be exquisite." The disciples around the seventh layer of aura refining nodded, as if they understood. Anyone could say this, but which cultivator in this world could comprehend it? Chao Ming was forced by Xiaohua between life and death, yet he was able to comprehend this. To him, this was more than just a lucky chance. Xiaohua, who didn't know that he had once again helped the cultivator gain enlightenment, was still complaining from afar. Second Senior Marshal Brother, little brother was only scaring those aura-refining disciples. You didn't have to be so ruthless, right? Humph. If it weren't for you, I would have killed all those disciples. Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. You're already a disciple of Yellow Flower Ridge, and you still dare to be a fence-sitter. Sigh, this is also my fault. Xiaohua sighed. He knew that Zhang Qingxiao had lost face and was in a bad mood. He said, it's just a test. It's not appropriate to make such a big commotion and make people choose between life and death. Actually, from what I see, other than Fanja, everyone else is good. After all, it's already commendable that you didn't say anything bad about Yellow Flower Ridge under my coercion. That Chao Ming is not bad, Zhang Qingxiao lightly said. Only a disciple like him is worthy to be a disciple of Yellow Flower Ridge. But disciples like Chao Ming, how many can there be in Yellow Flower Ridge? Xiaohua said with a smile. Even this Xiao knows that I wouldn't be so loyal to the Imperial Thunder sect. You don't have to blame yourself, Zhang Qingxiao still said indifferently. Although you killed the cultivators of the Imperial Thunder sect, you might not be able to betray the sect. How do you know that this young master killed the disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect? Xiaohua was shocked and looked at Zhang Qingxiao with an inconceivable gaze. Zhang Qingxiao slightly frowned, knowing that she had misspoken. She hurriedly remedied the situation and sneered. My heavenly demon sect has only been established for a few years and has yet to establish a sect in the Dawn Rain continent. There are already countless filthy people in the sect who kill each other. Your Imperial Thunder sect is so big and you want to hide your cultivation. I'm afraid that there are many Imperial Thunder sect disciples eyeing you, right? If you don't kill one or two of them, can you hide your matter? Xiaohua's eyes narrowed and stared straight at Zhang Qingxiao, as if pondering the truth of Zhang Qingxiao's words. What? You still want to kill me to silence me? Zhang Qingxiao was not afraid and coldly stared at Xiaohua. What's the benefit of killing you to silence you? Xiaohua raised the corner of his mouth and asked, If I kill you, who will give me the nascent soul stage cultivation method? Now you know my benefits? Zhang Qingxiao disdainfully said, Just now you were testing me to see if I would extend my hand to Yellow Flower Ridge. Don't need to do that. I have such a big heavenly demon sect, and will definitely be the #1 sect in the Dawn Rain continent in the future. Do I have the time to care about Yellow Flower Ridge? If you want to talk about Fanja's death, it's because of you. Fanja's heart is against the outside. Even if you and I don't force him, if he encounters something in the future, he will definitely rebel against Yellow Flower Ridge. Xiaohua sneered and said, His death is also inevitable. I will definitely not allow anyone who rebels against Yellow Flower Ridge to live in this world. However, at the same time, I also don't want a heavenly demon sect to take root in Yellow Flower Ridge. Therefore, I have to try. Otherwise, I won't be at ease. This is your method? What did you find out? Zhang Qingxiao ridiculed. Even if I put a few spies, it's also for Junior Sister's good. If something happens to her, and I'm not nearby, wouldn't it be troublesome? It's normal for you to put a few people. I don't care about it. I'm just afraid that these people will have evil intentions, or that they will do things half-heartedly. Xiaohua explained, for example, this disciple recruitment. The good and the bad are mixed together. It's very bad. Speaking of recruiting disciples, Zhang Qingxiao's face darkened. The current disciples of 100 Herbs Gate had indeed been arranged by Zhang Qingxiao. During the recruitment, they had been carefully selected. Every disciple had excellent aptitude, but after all, there was no knowing what a person's heart was. Xiaohua had caught Fanja, and Zhang Qingxiao had nothing to say. You haven't been a gate master, so you don't know the trouble. Zhang Qingxiao wanted to explain, but after saying half a sentence, she waved her hand and said, Why am I telling you this? This is my Yellow Flower Ridge. I'm not at ease with you. Why are you not at ease with me? Ha ha, Xiaohua laughed loudly. Of course, Zhang Qingxiao was Shang Huaming's true second disciple, and he was the half-disciple who hadn't entered the sect yet. Please, second senior brother, don't tell me you don't know how to enter Yellow Flower Ridge. Xiaohua raised his hand and said happily, Of course I know. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiaohua with a strange expression and asked, Don't tell me you don't know how to enter? Me? Of course I don't know. Xiaohua was somewhat baffled. The jade slip that Junior Sister gave you already indicated how to enter and exit the array. Zhang Qingxiao sneered. You flaunted your concern for Yellow Flower Ridge, But you didn't even look at the jade slip that junior sister gave you. Xiao Hua blushed with shame and said with a smile, "There are many things that junior brother wanted to see." Junior brother only looked at the jade slip roughly and didn't comprehend it in detail. "So, you explained to your junior sister?" Zhang Qingxiao took the lead and flew up. Finally, she managed to regain some of her face. When she flew near the back mountain of Yellow Flower Ridge, Zhang Qingxiao clapped her hand and picked up a jade slip similar to the one Shang Huaming used before. She carefully looked at the jade slip and circulated the magic power in her hand. The jade slip emitted a faint white light, and as Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand, the white light fell on the thick fog, and the fog began to roll as if it was boiling. After a sizzling sound, a passage appeared in the thick fog. Zhang Qingxiao's hand seals and hand gestures were exactly the same as Xiao Hua's before he left Yellow Flower Ridge. At that time, Xiao Hua couldn't see the mystery of the hand seals and only felt that it was very difficult to understand. At this moment, although Xiao Hua saw the hand seals clearly, the familiar hand seals warmed his heart. He knew very well that Yellow Blossom Ridge was the place where his memories began. He was afraid that he would never be able to forget everything about Yellow Blossom Ridge. It was also because of Yellow Blossom Ridge's existence that he and Zhang Qingxiao, the sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect, had a balanced intersection. Even in the future, the Heavenly Demon Sect and Fortune Gate would have a subtle balance. Yes, the Heavenly Demon Sect was still in its embryonic form, but under Zhang Qingxiao's planning, it was gradually revealing its ferocious teeth. Just as Zhang Qingxiao said, the 13 holy sects would definitely be the #1 sect on Dawnrain continent in the future. And the Fortune Gate? It didn't even have an embryonic form now. Whether it would even exist in the future was unknown. Zhang Qingxiao didn't know the power of Daoist Xiao, and didn't know the influence of Daoist Zhao's name on cultivation. Therefore, she didn't know the reputation of the Fortune Gate after its establishment. However, Xiao Hua knew that he could faintly foresee that the future of Dawnrain mainland was going to change rapidly, and the Fortune Gate would definitely stand out in this era. He even had a feeling that the Fortune Gate's achievements might not necessarily lose to the Heavenly Demon sects. And this unremarkable Shang Huaming, a small sect with only 3.5 disciples, would be the origin of 2 great sects. "Please, junior brother." Looking at Xiao Hua in a daze, Zhang Qingxiao said warmly, "Please, second senior brother." Seeing Zhang Qingxiao's rare amiability, Xiao Hua also smiled. Zhang Qingxiao didn't stand on ceremony and flew into the passage, followed by Xiao Hua with a smile on his face. After passing through the array and seeing the familiar scenery, Xiao Hua had mixed feelings and said in a low voice, "Second senior brother, little brother has wronged you. Please forgive me. This is my Yellow Flower Ridge. Of course I will restore it to its former state." Zhang Qingxiao said proudly, "I never care how you look at me." Xiao Hua didn't bicker with her and asked, "Where are senior sister and Jiang Luer?" "I heard from junior sister that they are at Cherishing Flower Peak's herb garden," Zhang Qingxiao said casually. Xiao Hua was stunned and asked curiously, "Why did Jiang Luer go to Cherishing Flower Peak's herb garden?" "How would I know? Wouldn't it be better to ask?" Zhang Qingxiao's figure flickered and gradually disappeared. It was the Devil World's concealing technique. Xiao Hua didn't dare to be negligent and also used the concealing technique. But before he could disappear, Zhang Qingxiao's figure reappeared and said in astonishment, "Xiao Hua, how can you use my Devil World cultivation technique?" Chapter 27:15. Wasn't this concealing technique given to Xiao Hua by Zhang Qingxiao? Xiao Hua took a lot of things from Zhang Qingxiao and really forgot about it. Don't talk about Xiao Hua. Even Zhang Qingxiao herself didn't care about this technique when she gave it to Xiao Hua. She even said that Xiao Hua couldn't cultivate it. "Yes, this is what second senior brother gave me," Xiao Hua says with a smile. "Since second senior brother can cultivate it, why can't I?" "Nonsense. I am a devil. a person from the devil world. Although I also cultivate Taoist techniques, but I also cultivate devil world techniques. You are not a person from my devil world. How can you cultivate devil world techniques? Could it be that you cultivated the blood drop paradise? Although Zhang Qingxiao didn't say in detail, she made it clear that the devil world's tracking technique can only be cultivated by cultivators who know devil world techniques. I don't know. Xiao Hua shakes his head. I didn't carefully comprehend the blood drop paradise, let alone cultivate it. But this tracking technique, I can use it with just a little bit of cultivation. You really didn't comprehend the blood drop paradise? Zhang Qingxiao doesn't believe it. And I saw that the technique doesn't use heaven and earth spiritual energy to cultivate. It only cultivates devil fire and devil blood. So I didn't continue to look. Xiao Hua is a little unhappy. I haven't finished cultivating this Taoist technique. How can I have time to cultivate that? That's strange. Since you didn't cultivate the blood drop paradise, then you must have cultivated devil world techniques before. Zhang Qingxiao frowns, but then she is shocked and says anxiously, could it be you are a person from my devil world? Yes, it's true. When Master found you that day, although you weren't near the Imperial Demon Valley, you were not far from it. Moreover, it was not long before the great war of immortals and devils. You are definitely a person from the devil world. Speaking of this, Zhang Qingxiao's face becomes alert again. A person from the devil world? Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. He had also wondered about this before, but he couldn't find any basis for it, so he ignored it. Now that Zhang Qingxiao mentioned it again, he was naturally delighted. He finally had a breakthrough in his background. Is it true that only devil dwellers who have cultivated devil arts are able to use the concealing technique? Xiao Hua asked. It might not necessarily be a devil cultivator. A devil cultivator might be able to do it too. Zhang Qingxiao hesitated and said, in short, those who have nothing to do with my devil sect will not be able to use it. In other words, you're most likely from the Imperial Demon Valley. Zhang Qingxiao's eyes narrowed, and she actually once again slightly pulled away from Xiao Hua, as if she was very afraid of the truth that Xiao Hua was a devil realm devil dweller. That's strange. Xiao Hua giggled again. If this young master is someone from the devil realm, wouldn't he be acquainted with you? Why are you so afraid? Shouldn't you be happy? If you're from the devil realm, you must have a purpose for coming here. Now that you don't have your memories, it's natural for you to claim kinship with me. If you remember anything, don't you want to complete your mission? My heavenly devil sect and myself, aren't we all being used by you? Zhang Qingxiao snorted coldly. It wasn't easy for me to open up a place in the Dawn Rain continent. Wouldn't I have to make a wedding dress for you? Xiao Hua said strangely. Your words make this young master feel strange again. If this young master is a cultivator, you're at ease. But if this young master is a devil dweller, you're not at ease. You're actually so disappointed in your own kind? Zhang Qingxiao snorted coldly and didn't answer Xiao Hua. Obviously, she was already on guard against Xiao Hua. However, Zhang Qingxiao's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. No. Zhang Qingxiao shook her head fiercely. If you're from the devil realm, how can you be proficient in the Buddhist sect's cultivation method? How can you have Buddhist awareness? This is absolutely impossible. Then, am I a person of the devil realm or not? Xiao Hua listened to Zhang Qingxiao's startled words and was even more at a loss as he asked curiously, whether you are or not, it has nothing to do with me. Zhang Qingxiao rolled her eyes at him and said, this is your own life experience. Why do you want me to worry about it for no reason? At most, you've practiced devil techniques. You're definitely not from the devil realm. After speaking, Zhang Qingxiao's figure flashed again, don't. Xiao Hua hurriedly prepared to pull Zhang Qingxiao and said anxiously, why don't you tell me why this young master isn't from the devil realm? Can you not ask so many questions? Zhang Qingxiao flicked her sleeve and a black brilliance flashed, blocking Xiao Hua. Her figure disappeared, presumably going Shihua Peak. Watching Zhang Qingxiao leave, Xiao Hua sighed, alas, I originally thought I had a new clue, but now it seems it's also useless. However, since I'm not from the Dawn Rain continent, then I'm definitely an outsider of the Dawn Rain continent. And this different realm, other than the 10,000 demon realm, is the devil realm. And what second senior brother said isn't without reason. I really might have come from the devil world, and it was precisely through the Imperial Devil Valley that I came to the Dawn Rain continent. Xiaohua pondered as he used the same concealment technique to fly towards Xihua Peak. Unfortunately, Xiaohua had just condensed his gold core, and his realm had not yet stabilized. In the 10,000 demon realm and the devil realm, even those as strong as Xianwan and Dongshan, he couldn't enter and leave at will. How could he be qualified to go? His life experience? I'm afraid it'll take a long time to have some clues, right? When Xiaohua appeared in front of Xihua Peak, Zhang Qingxiao was already standing outside the medicine garden, looking at the medicine garden in a daze. Seeing this, Xiaohua released his Buddhist awareness and looked at the medicine garden. He couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Along the way, Xiaohua saw a lot of 100 Herb Gate disciples. All the disciples' cultivation was around the 5th level of Qi refining. These disciples were in a hurry. Perhaps they were all busy with some affairs of the 100 Herb Gate. When they saw each other, they just cupped their hands and saluted, exchanging some pleasantries before flying away. At this time, inside the medicine garden, there were hundreds of children at the 2nd and 3rd level of Qi refining. They should be taking care of the medicine garden, but they were also playing around while taking care of it. The whole medicine garden was bustling with noise and excitement, and even laughter could be heard from time to time. Xihua Peak has never been so lively, Zhang Qingxiao said in a low voice. She seemed to be talking to Xiaohua, but also seemed to be talking to herself. That day, even if Master was here with eldest senior brother, junior sister, and me, we wouldn't be so lively. Let bygones be bygones. It's useless to think too much. Xiaohua also muttered in a low voice, and also seemed to be talking to himself. His figure flew towards a corner of the medicine garden. His heart was filled with emotion and disdain at the same time. When this young master was in the medicine garden, you all never came. Where did this liveliness come from? Xiaohua's figure didn't stop. He flew to a corner of the medicine garden. This place was already some distance away from the medicine garden. Even the laughter of the medicine apprentices couldn't reach here. Moreover, this corner was blocked by a restrictive spell. Needless to say, this was the place where Jiang Luer fainted. When he flew in front of the restrictive spell, Xiaohua was a little hesitant. He stretched out his hand and then withdrew it. After all, Yellow Flower Ridge was not the same as before. Just a moment ago, he was still squeezing Zhang Qingxiao. Now that he was here, he was the host. Humph! Hypocrite! Zhang Qingxiao also flew behind Xiaohua. When she saw Xiaohua's hesitation, she sneered and stretched out her hand. Just as she was about to tear the restrictive spell, the whole restrictive spell flashed with a faint brilliance. About 10 feet away from the two of them, some obscure fluctuations were generated. Along with the fluctuations, a square hole appeared. Xiao Xianrui, who looked a little haggard, walked out of the hole. As soon as Xiao Xianrui revealed her figure, she was just about to tidy up her appearance. Just as she raised her hand, she saw Xiaohua and Zhang Qingxiao. Her face immediately showed joy, and she shouted, "Second senior brother, little junior brother, you came?" Zhang Qingxiao's eyes showed warmth, and the corner of her mouth slightly hung a smile. "How's the situation?" "It's still the same." The joy on Xiao Xianrui's face just flashed, and was immediately replaced by a worried look. It's the same as what little sister said in the communication talisman that day. Xiao Xianrui seemed to want to say something, but Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand and said, "Don't say so much. Let Xiaohua take a look first." "Let little junior brother take a look?" Xiao Xianrui was surprised. Chapter 27:16. Xiaohua only used his eyes to take a look before releasing his Buddhist sense. This time he frowned. Within his Buddhist sense, Jiang Luer's figure was faintly glowing, and her entire figure was somewhat blurry. Why is that? Xiaohua was a little confused. His Buddhist consciousness was similar to his spiritual sense. However, because the range of his Buddhist consciousness was larger than his spiritual sense, it wasn't easy for the Dao sect's cultivators to detect it. As for whether his Buddhist consciousness had any other uses, Xiaohua really didn't know. How is it? Xiao Xianrui saw Xiaohua frown, and her heart unconsciously tightened. Senior sister, you and second senior brother go out first. I will take a look again, Xiaohua said warmly. Okay. Xiao Xianrui did not say anything else and turned around to leave. Zhang Qingxiao unhappily looked at Xiaohua, curled her lips, and could only follow Xiao Xianrui out. After the two of them left, Xiaohua took out the talismans of the capital star array and placed them around the entire restriction, waiting for the entire array to be completed. Xiaohua took out the Buddha Saraira. Lin, the Buddha Saraira, chanted the mantra, and the Buddha seal was also released. However, when the Golden Lin character landed on Jiang Luer's body, there was no reaction at all, and it fell down as if it was nothing. Army. Xiaohua did not hesitate and once again activated the Buddha Saraira, using the second Buddhist ability. Similarly, the Golden Army character did not exceed Xiaohua's expectations, and the soul summoning technique also did not succeed. Xiaohua sighed. Just as he was about to take back the Buddha Saraira, the body of the Buddha Saraira suddenly shone with a golden light. The arms that were just about to take it back began to move like water flowing through a canal. Another unfamiliar Buddha seal was formed. Oh, the Buddha Saraira also opened its mouth, its face full of compassion. A golden word in the shape of a fighting came out from the mouth of the Buddha Saraira. As soon as the word came out, it suddenly enlarged to a size of 3 meters. Enveloping Jiang Luer like a fishing net, the golden character fell on Jiang Luer's body, and her entire body was covered in golden light. Like an overflowing golden body, Jiang Luer's whole body was suffused with a golden color. As the golden light blossomed, every stroke of the Dou character broke apart, and each broken stroke transformed into a Dou character, spiraling around Jiang Luer's body. Good. A smile appeared on Xiaohua's face. He had a hint of understanding in his heart. The third divine ability of Buddhism is battle. This battle is full of compassion. It is the memory of the previous life in compassion, not the so-called battle. Thinking of this, Xiaohua's heart was filled with bitterness. His Buddha Saraira had experienced 2 lightning tribulations and had finally reached the 3rd level of divine ability. However, this 3rd level of divine ability had nothing to do with fighting. Motherfucker, no wonder the Buddhist sect was destroyed by the Dao sect. Every divine ability was so crooked. Who would cultivate it? What's the use of it when we're fighting against the Dao sect? Xiaohua silently cursed. At this moment, Jiang Luer's brows moved slightly, as if she was about to wake up. However, just as she frowned, the golden light on Jiang Luer's body moved again. One by one, the golden light actually disappeared into Jiang Luer's body, no longer appearing. Jiang Luer's brows relaxed again, but her eyes did not open. Battle! Xiaohua's Buddha Saraira formed a seal again, and a golden gold character was spat out from the mouth of the Buddha Saraira, landing on Jiang Luer's body. However, this time, the golden words still flowed around Jiang Luer's body and also disappeared into her body. However, Jiang Luer's brows did not move, and her eyes did not show any signs of opening. Sigh. Xiaohua sighed and shook his head slightly. If he had the 4th divine ability of Buddhism, perhaps it would be of some use. But now, just the 3rd divine ability of Buddhism should not be able to awaken Jiang Luer. After keeping the Buddha Saraira, Xiaohua rubbed his chin with his hand. After thinking for a moment, he urged his soul thread to extend out from the Dharma eye between his brows. The soul thread had gone through the lightning tribulation, and the fluctuations within it were much stronger than before. It was like a baby growing up into a child, and there was a lot of strength in its arms. It did not take much effort at all. The soul thread entered Jiang Luer's soul from between her brows. Jiang Luer's soul was very similar to Xiaohua's soul. They were both mysterious dark clouds, but at this time, Jiang Luer's dark clouds were very quiet. Although there was some rolling inside, the rolling was very rhythmic. At first glance, it looked very harmonious, and even made Xiaohua's soul thread feel very comfortable. If there is a mutation in the soul, I'm afraid it won't be like this. Xiaohua only used his soul thread to take a look. He did not have much confidence in his heart, so he pulled out the soul thread again. Thousands of soul threads fluttered in the air. Although they could not be seen with the naked eye, a kind of faint sound was emitted from the dancing soul threads. Hearing the buzzing sound, Xiaohua slightly furrowed his brows and thought to himself, the soul power that soul cultivators speak of is the strength of this soul thread. However, in essence, this soul thread doesn't have any strength. The so-called strength of this soul thread is the strength of the undulations. Now that this soul thread has gone through the lightning tribulation, it seems to have improved. It can even be said that it has mutated and the fluctuations have become stronger. Therefore, Xiaohua didn't think of informing Hanju at all. But now, looking at Jiang Luer's situation, he was afraid that only Hanju could wake Jiang Luer up. Alas, it's all karma. I'm already in the karma. How can I escape? If there's no other way, I can only face it. Xiaohua sighed slightly and put away the talisman of the capital star array. Although Zhang Qingxiao and Xiao Xinrui were outside the restrictive spell, Zhang Qingxiao's divine thought had never left the restrictive spell. When she saw Xiaohua's figure appear, she immediately scanned Jianglu. Alas, Zhang Qingxiao sighed slightly and turned to Xiao Xinrui, who was biting her lips slightly and didn't dare to look back, and said, Xiaohua can't wake Jiang Luer up. Although this result made Xiao Xinrui extremely disappointed, she still forced a smile on her face, turned and walked into the restrictive spell, and said, Thank you, junior brother. It's all my fault. Xiaohua hurriedly said, Although I can't wake Jiang Luer up, I've already thought about it. Maybe someone else has a way. Really? Who is it? Xiao Xinrui was overjoyed again. This. Xiaohua hesitated and shook his head and said, Who is this person? Forgive me for not telling you, but he's also a Buddha. At this point, Zhang Qingxiao, who was at the side, coughed hard. Xiaohua was slightly taken aback and looked at Zhang Qingxiao with some confusion. However, before Zhang Qingxiao could speak, Xiao Xinrui asked in confusion, Is this person's status very high in the Xiaoyu continent? Is he the head of some Buddhist sect? Chapter 27:17. Xiaohua immediately came to his senses and hurriedly covered it up. This senior's temper is rather strange. He doesn't like to extend his hand and meddle in other people's affairs. Previously, this little brother had the chance to meet him. If I were to ask him again, would he extend his hand to save Luer? Oh, is that so? Xiao Xinrui nodded slightly and turned to look at Jiang Luer with a trace of affection in her eyes. Xiaohua pondered for a moment before asking, Senior sister, tell me exactly how Jiang Luer ended up like this. Don't leave out a single word. Xiao Xinrui thought for a moment and told him everything that had happened. In fact, it was very similar to what Zhang Qingxiao said. Ever since 100 Herbs Gate underwent earth-shaking changes, Jiang Luer gradually grew up. After all, when Jiang Fan died, Jiang Luer was still very young. After asking about Jiang Fan a few times at the beginning, he gradually forgot about Jiang Fan and only grew up with Xiao Xinrui. When Jiang Luer was 4 or 5 years old, Xiao Xinrui began to teach Jiang Luer an extremely simple beginner's chant according to the customs of the Xiaoyu continent. However, what Xiao Xinrui didn't expect was that although Jiang Luer was extremely intelligent and could understand the first level of qi refining at a glance, and could explain it clearly and logically, when he really practiced it, This Jiang Luer, who had loved the aquamarine pearl since he was young and played with it every day, actually couldn't generate a single strand of true qi. Not even a trace of true qi could be produced. Xiao Xianrui was dumbfounded. She had seen a bit of this situation on Xiao Hua's body, but at that time, it wasn't that Xiao Hua couldn't produce true qi, but his growth was too slow. That trace of true qi was almost non-existent in Xiao Hua's meridians. This Jiang Luer was different from Xiao Hua. He could not produce even a trace of true qi. Xiao Xianrui was surprised and carefully observed the process of Jiang Luer's cultivation. The whole process was exactly the same as described in the manual, without any deviation. However, at the end of refining the heaven and earthling qi, Jiang Luer could not produce true qi. At first, Xiao Xianrui thought that it was a problem with Jiang Luer's physique. She put the water attribute manual aside and found a fire attribute manual for Jiang Luer to comprehend. Naturally, the result was still the same. What drove Xiao Xianrui even crazier was that the 100 Herbs sect didn't have any metal-type qi refining techniques for the time being. Neither the other wood-type techniques nor the most common earth-type techniques were suitable for Jiang Luer. Later, Xiao Xianrui spent a lot of effort, spirit stones and spirit herbs, and finally got a rough gold qi refining method from others. Even this last glimmer of hope did not allow Xiao Xianrui to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Jiang Luer still could not generate true qi. At this time, Xiao Xianrui had already thought of Zhang Qingxiao. However, in order to avoid arousing suspicion, Zhang Qingxiao did not directly appear in Yellow Flower Ridge. Moreover, he was also busy with the affairs of his heavenly demon sect and rarely communicated with Xiao Xianrui. Seeing that Yellow Flower Ridge was thriving, Xiao Xianrui wanted to try to solve it herself. However, year after year, Jiang Luer grew up and became more sensible. Xiao Xianrui racked her brains and thought of countless methods, but still could not let Jiang Luer really practice qi. What was rare was that Jiang Luer was also precocious. Since he was a little more sensible, he knew the importance of cultivation. Since he started practicing his first qi refining method, he devoted himself wholeheartedly to it. However, the reality was such a blow that Jiang Luer felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. He felt that his future was hopeless, and even his whole life was gloomy. For several years, every attempt by Xiao Xianrui was a blow to Jiang Luer's confidence. However, every time, Jiang Luer gritted his teeth and faced it. Although Xiao Xianrui never scolded him, in his heart, he was extremely depressed. Later, when Jiang Luer saw that his mother was so busy with him that she didn't even have time to meditate, Jiang Luer very cleverly advised his mother not to spend any more effort on him. Perhaps he himself had a physique that could not cultivate. He had already accepted his fate. Being able to accompany his mother by her side was his greatest happiness. Jiang Luer being so sensible made Xiao Xianrui even more sad. She didn't expect that God would play such a big joke on her. Therefore, when Xiao Xianrui shed tears, she had to use the method left by Zhang Qingxiao to send him a messaging charm. Naturally, after more than half a year, Xiao Xianrui got the golden puppet of the Prajnaparamita Heart Sutra that Xiao Hua gave to Jiang Luer. Of course, this golden puppet had been cracked by Zhang Qingxiao using the devil sex method. Along with the golden puppet, there was also a jade slip, which was the Prajnaparamita Heart Sutra that Zhang Qingxiao had relayed. Similarly, Jiang Luer didn't have divine thoughts, so he couldn't read the jade slip. Xiao Xianrui had to record the Prajnaparamita Heart Sutra in the jade slip and give it to Jiang Luer to comprehend. Xiao Xianrui didn't know about the Buddhism sect, and she didn't know much about the Prajnaparamita Heart Sutra. She herself couldn't understand it at all. However, she heard from Zhang Qingxiao's jade slip that this Heart Sutra was only for Jiang Luer to read, and she didn't explain a word. Of course, Xiao Xianrui didn't suspect anything else. She only thought that it was a secret cultivation technique of the Xiaoyu continent. Even Xiao Xinrui didn't know that this Heart Sutra was given to her by Xiaohua. Although Xiaohua's strength was formidable, Xiao Xinrui knew that the rules of the Imperial Thunder Sect were extremely strict. Although Jiang Luer couldn't practice the Dao Sect's cultivation technique, he had read a lot of books since he was young, so he didn't have to worry about literacy. Moreover, he had comprehended the 5 elements qi refining cultivation technique. Although the contents of this Heart Sutra were somewhat obscure, he gradually gained some insights after studying it day and night. Jiang Luer had a hobby similar to Xiaohua, which was to like flowers and plants. Because there were many spiritual herbs and spiritual trees in the Xihua Peaks herb garden, and there were even many medicine apprentices of the same age as him. Jiang Luer spent most of his time in the vicinity of the herb garden, either tending to the flowers and plants, or watching the medicine apprentices play, or even watching them cultivate with envy. Ever since he obtained the Heart Sutra, he worked even harder. Although he still came to the herb garden, he spent less time tending to the flowers and plants and more time studying the Heart Sutra. It was completely different from his previous depression. Seeing the melancholy in her son's eyes gradually disappear and be replaced by eagerness, Xiao Xinrui was naturally happy. However, she couldn't understand the contents of the Heart Sutra, so she didn't know about Jiang Luer's progress. Just as she was about to ask about Jiang Luer's cultivation, she suddenly received a report from a disciple that Jiang Luer had suddenly fainted in the herb garden. Xiao Xinrui anxiously flew to the herb garden and saw that Jiang Luer was in such a situation. Although she didn't comprehend the Heart Sutra, she had seen this posture when she was copying it, so she knew that Jiang Luer should be comprehending the Heart Sutra. Therefore, she immediately set up a formation around Jiang Luer to prevent him from being disturbed. Generally speaking, secluded meditation could only be achieved when one's cultivation reached a certain level, especially the Dao Sect's disciples below the 3rd level of qi refining. Most of them were children under the age of 10. They were usually jumping up and down, so how could they have the mental state to meditate? That was simply impossible. Although Xiao Xinrui didn't mention that Jiang Luer couldn't cultivate the Dao Sect's magic, all the children in the herb garden knew about it. Therefore, when they saw Jiang Luer's situation, they naturally didn't think that he was meditating, so they naturally attributed it to fainting. At the very beginning, Xiao Xinrui wasn't worried. She had also meditated before, so it was very normal. However, as time passed, Xiao Xinrui couldn't remain calm. Because Jiang Luer didn't practice anidia, how could he meditate? How could his body withstand not eating or drinking for several days? Moreover, Jiang Luer meditated for dozens of days, so how could this mother be at ease? Seeing that Jiang Luer was getting thinner day by day, Xiao Xinrui almost went crazy. She didn't dare to feed Jiang Luer any anidia pills or other elixirs, for fear that it would hurt Jiang Luer's meditation and take his life. However, she also didn't want to see Jiang Luer starve to death. Fortunately, although Jiang Luer was thin, his breath was normal, far from being on the verge of death, which made Xiao Xinrui somewhat relieved. Now, she didn't care about the affairs of the 100 Herbs Gate, nor did she care about her own cultivation. Every day, she had to stay by Jiang Luer's side, and she also had the elixirs of the 100 Herbs Gate on her. Whenever she found anything unusual, she would immediately feed the elixir to Jiang Luer. However, as time passed day by day, Jiang Luer only became thinner, and his breath was getting weaker and weaker. There was indeed no change in the situation until today when Xiao Hua and Zhang Qingxiao came together. Xiao Xinrui said this with a choked voice. She didn't complain about Xiao Hua, but she was worried about Jiang Luer. During this time, a few more message talismans were sent, but Xiao Xinrui didn't look at them at all. She just reached out and broke them, completely ignoring them. The more Xiao Xinrui acted like this, the more guilty Xiao Hua felt. He only thought that he could learn without a teacher, and even create his own foundation establishment cultivation method at the critical moment, but he didn't expect that this extremely dangerous cultivation method was not suitable for everyone. Even if Jiang Luer's aptitude was exceedingly high, at this time, he was also implicated by Xiao Hua's recklessness. Senior sister, after Xiao Xinrui finished speaking, Xiao Hua said apologetically, "This is indeed my fault. Don't worry, I will do my best to wake Jiang Luer up." Junior brother, Xiao Xinrui said with a forced smile, "It's not your fault." That day, when Luer got the Heart Sutra, he was very happy. I was also happy that he could use this Heart Sutra to comprehend magic. At that time, I was really grateful to you and Qing Xiao from the bottom of my heart. As for Luer's current situation, it's mostly my fault. I should have read this Heart Sutra more, comprehended it myself, and then taught it to Luer. Alas, Xiao Hua sighed. He understood in his heart how Xiao Xinrui could comprehend the Heart Sutra of Prajna Parmitha. But at the same time, his heart moved, and he stretched out his hand, "Senior sister, that cultivation method and second senior brother's jade slip for me to see." Chapter 27:18. Yes, Xiao Xinrui hurriedly took these out from her storage bag and gave them to Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua took them and looked at Zhang Qingxiao. Zhang Qingxiao's expression did not change. Xiao Hua had already read the Heart Sutra of Prajna Parmitha before, but that was just a summary and was not detailed. This time, for the sake of Jiang Luer, Xiao Hua did not dare to be negligent. He released his Buddhist awareness and saw the Heart Sutra flashing with golden light, like golden pages flipping. Seeing this, Zhang Qingxiao's eyes flashed with a strange expression. As for Xiao Xinrui, she did not care about these changes. She looked at Xiao Hua and then at Jiang Luer. Her heart was completely focused on her son. After Xiao Hua finished reading the Heart Sutra, he looked at Zhang Qingxiao's jade slip again and frowned slightly. "How is it? Although I don't understand it, I wrote it right." Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. "Yes, it's right." Xiao Hua nodded. This Heart Sutra of Prajna Parmitha was not the same as the exquisite Leaf Sutra. It was not a wordless heavenly book, and the golden rune was ordinary. With Zhang Qingxiao's ability, there was no mistake in writing it. "Senior sister, where is the thing you copied?" Xiao Hua asked Xiao Xinrui. Xiao Xinrui pointed at Jiang Luer and said, "It should be in Luer's arms." "Yes." Xiao Hua nodded and walked over. He stretched out his hand to take the thing from Jiang Luer's arms. Junior brother, Xiao Xinrui said anxiously, "Won't this disturb Luer?" "It won't." Xiao Hua knew that Xiao Xinrui was worried and said with a smile, "Luer should be in a special state of cultivation. Although I don't know, I have never experienced it before, but I will be fine if I take the thing from him." Okay. Xiao Xinrui stared at Xiao Hua's hand, as if he was holding Jiang Luer's life in his hand. "Oh, okay." Xiao Hua thought for a moment and put his hand in front of Jiang Luer. He did not go deep into Jiang Luer's arms. Instead, he used his mind to take out the silk-like technique and sent it into the space and then into his hand. Seeing that Xiao Hua did not touch Jiang Luer, but the silk appeared out of nowhere, Xiao Xinrui's heart was relieved. However, Zhang Qingxiao was stunned. With his eyesight, he actually couldn't see how Xiao Hua took out the silk from Jiang Luer's bosom. Xiao Hua didn't care about the gazes of the two people. After receiving the silk, he immediately unfolded it for a closer look. However, when he finished reading Xiao Xinrui's beautiful handwriting on the silk, he frowned even more. Xiao Xinrui's heart clenched again, and she whispered, "Little junior brother, is there anything wrong with my transcription? I've carefully transcribed it word by word." Senior sister, there's not a single mistake in your transcription. If there is a mistake, this little brother will be able to find some clues." Xiao Hua smiled and said, "It is precisely because there is no mistake that this little brother is puzzled." "Oh." Xiao Xinrui let out a long sigh, but her face was a little ugly. "Junior brother, in this situation," Xiao Xianrui asked tentatively. You really can't wake Lure up? Can that senior awaken it? Senior's sister. Xiao Hua smiled and said, in fact, this situation, should be the meditation when we practice. However, Lu Er's situation is very special. He has just started practicing this cultivation method. No matter what, it is impossible for him to meditate so quickly. Yes, Xiao Xinrui said anxiously. I also think so, but Lu can't wake up from his meditation, which makes you anxious. Xiao Hua didn't wait for Xiao Xinrui to finish her words and said, if Lu didn't make you so surprised, and even told you that he wanted to meditate first, you wouldn't be worried, right? But Lu didn't abstain from eating. If he doesn't eat, how can he live? Xiao Xinrui argued. If Lu didn't look so haggard, I wouldn't be so worried. Although Xiao Xinrui said so, Xiao Hua didn't believe it. He looked at Zhang Qingxiao and said, second senior brother, according to my plan, I'm going to take Lu out. What do you think? Zhang Qingxiao nodded. He knew in his heart that Xiao Hua was going to look for an expert from the Buddhist sect. This person must be extremely secretive and would definitely not let the cultivators of the Tao sect know about it. And this person would definitely not come to Yellow Flower Ridge openly. Other than Xiao Hua bringing Jiang Luer along, there was no other way. Okay, I'll pack up now, Xiao Xinrui said hurriedly with a hint of joy in her eyes. Senior sister. Xiao Hua was stunned and hurriedly stopped her. What are you going to do? If you leave, what will happen to the 100 Herbs sect? Xiao Xinrui said flatly. The 100 Herbs sect can't compare to Jiang Luer. If Luer is like this, the 100 Herbs sect might as well be disbanded. If it's the 100 Herbs sect, you can go by yourself. Zhang Qingxiao sneered. But this is Yellow Flower Ridge. It's Shang Huaming. If you go, won't you be letting down your dead master? This. Xiao Xinrui's face showed hesitation, and she bit her lips. Now that Xiao Xinrui had taken the rejuvenation pill, she looked like she was in her 20s. Her hesitation was heartbreaking. But I can't bear to leave Lu. If I don't see him wake up, my heart won't be at peace. Xiao Xinrui begged. How about we ask second senior brother to stay in Yellow Flower Ridge for a while? Stay in Yellow Flower Ridge. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Hua coldly and snorted. There will be people here who won't agree. Senior sister. Xiao Hua didn't care about Zhang Qingxiao's sarcasm, but advised, I think you also know that the spiritual herbs in the herb garden can never be compared to the spiritual herbs in the Barren Mountain. The difference is not just a little bit. It is the same for our cultivation. If we keep cultivating in the sect, no matter how hard we work, we may not be able to improve our realm quickly. When the time comes, we must go out and experience it. This experience is not only to broaden one's knowledge, but also to sharpen one's character and will. If Lu stays in front of you all the time, I think he may not be able to achieve anything. At this time, you should let him go out for a walk. Sometimes being willing to let go is the true love. But Lu is not going out for experience right now. Xiao Xinrui argued. He's just, Luer's path is Luer's. It's not something you or I can choose for him. To enter such a state of meditation is also his opportunity. Xiao Hua didn't wait for Xiao Xinrui to finish and interrupted again. Maybe his path is like this. It is already opened under his feet. Junior brother is right. Zhang Qingxiao rarely agreed with Xiao Hua's point of view. Only letting go is the true love. Junior sister, when I heard what you said just now, I already feel. Although you said something when Lu couldn't cultivate, you didn't scold him. But your anxiety, everything you do, is giving him pressure. This kind of motherly love is an extremely heavy burden. In fact, you can imagine that if he wasn't a little anxious for success, he might not be like this. Tisk, senior sister, don't listen to him. This has nothing to do with you. Xiao Hua saw that Xiao Xinrui's face was a little pale and hurriedly persuaded. This is purely the problem of this strange cultivation method. Leave this to me. I will definitely wake Lu up. It's the same whether you're by his side or not. Besides, if you go with me in Liu, it's useless at all. Why do you have to be by his side? If you go, that senior won't see outsiders. Then what should you do? Sai, don't say any more. Xiao Xinrui's face was pale and said with difficulty, Qing Xiao is right. This yellow flower ridge is not only mine, it's also left behind by father and senior brother. I left all these things and only cared about Liu. I let down father and senior brother, and I let you all down. Moreover, I gave Liu a lot of pressure. It was I who unconsciously pressed on Liu. Even if Liu wakes up now, I will definitely not let him stay by my side. After saying that, she looked at the herb garden outside the restriction and sighed. This Xiaoyu continent is so big, it's the place for Liu to show his ambition. How can it be 100 times stronger than this Yellow Flower Ridge? Think about that day at Yellow Flower Ridge. What was the cultivation of second senior brother and junior brother? After leaving Yellow Flower Ridge, what is the cultivation of the two of you now? I'm really a little short-sighted. After saying that, Xiao Xinrui bowed to Xiao Hua and said, Junior brother, I'll leave Liu to you, whether he's dead or alive. You only need to send me a message. Senior sister, Xiao Hua hurriedly helped Xiao Xinrui up, who knew that after bowing, Xiao Xinrui stood up, turned around and walked out of the restriction. Her eyes were full of tears, but there was a flash of determination in them. Xiao Hua didn't expect Xiao Xinrui to do what she said. She was more decisive than a group of men and couldn't help but be stunned. Junior sister, wait a moment. Zhang Qingxiao also said anxiously. Second senior brother, do you have anything else to say? Xiao Xinrui stood there and didn't look back, as if she was afraid that if she looked back, her heart would soften. Alas, why do you have to do this? Zhang Qingxiao said, as long as you wake Liu up, everything will be easy to talk about. Xiao Xinrui's eyes were still looking at the herb garden, afraid that they would fall on Jiang Liu. She said with a somewhat blocked nose, second senior brother, thank you for reminding me. A loving mother leads to a useless son. This principle is known by everyone in the secular world. How can I not know? But when I think about the child, I can't help but love him. If this goes on, how can Liu make any progress? His current difficulties are all caused by me. In the future, when Liu is by your side, you can beat or scold him as you wish. Alas, Xiao Hua sighed and wanted to say something, but when the words reached his mouth, he didn't know how to comfort her. However, Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Xinrui's back and then looked at Jiang Liu. He flew to Jiang Liu's side, stretched out his hand, and touched Jiang Liu's arm. A drop of essence blood flowed out from Jiang Liu's arm. Zhang Qingxiao reached out and grabbed the drop of blood essence. Immediately after, Zhang Qingxiao formed a series of hand seals and continuously struck the drop of blood essence. As the hand seals entered the drop of blood essence constantly flashed with a blood-red brilliance. Chapter 27:19. Oh, Xiao Hua didn't understand Zhang Qingxiao's actions, but seeing these somewhat familiar spells, he felt strange. Isn't this similar to the spells used to refine the natal spiritual tablet? Sure enough, after waiting for a moment, Zhang Qingxiao clapped her hand and took out a pure white jade. She pointed at the red light that had turned into a ball of light and shouted, "Quick!" The red light immediately fell on the jade along with Zhang Qingxiao's spell. With a kacha sound, the pure white jade immediately glowed red. When the red light was annihilated, a pink natal spiritual tablet appeared in the air. Junior sister, this is Luder's natal spiritual tablet. Take it. Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand, and the natal spiritual tablet fell in front of Xiao Xinrui, saying, if anything happens to Liu, this spiritual tablet will break. If it doesn't break, Liu will be fine. You can also be at ease. Xiao Xinrui's eyes showed a trace of gratitude. She took the spiritual tablet and looked at Zhang Qingxiao, saying, thank you for your care, second senior brother. After saying that, She carefully hid the spiritual tablet next to her body. Oh, right, just now, Xiaohua and I killed a disciple of the 100 Herbs sect in front of Yellow Flower Ridge. Chao Ming will definitely report the matter clearly, Zhang Qingxiao said again. In addition, this Chao Ming is worth training. You should pay more attention to him in the future. Yes, I understand. Xiao Xinrui nodded and stepped out of the restriction. From beginning to end, her eyes never looked back, never fell on Jiang Luer's body. However, just as she walked out of the restriction, tears flowed out again. Xiao Xinrui was a Foundation establishment cultivator, but she was also a mother. How could she not be worried when her flesh and blood, who had been with her for nearly 10 years, suddenly left and had a difficult future? Although Xiao Hua promised that he would wake Jiang Luer up, Xiao Xinrui also believed that Xiao Hua would do his best. However, she always had a premonition in her heart that Jiang Luer would never be awakened so easily. In fact, this separation could very well be the final farewell between her and her own flesh and blood. Perhaps he would never see Jiang Luer again. Xiao Xinrui flew out of the herb garden, then flew out of Shihua Peak. However, after flying for several hundred feet, she suddenly turned around and rushed towards the restriction formation of the herb garden. However, when she landed within the restriction once again, it was already empty. Jiang Luer, Xiao Hua, and Zhang Qingxiao had already disappeared. Looking at the empty restriction, it was as empty as the emptiness in her heart. Xiao Xinrui couldn't help but cry. Her graceful figure collapsed on the ground. Where was the bearing of a Foundation establishment cultivator? She really regretted it. Why couldn't she take another look at her son? Even if his son was in a meditative state, he was still by his side. Now, his son was no longer by his side. What was the use of having a divine connection cultivation base? Xiao Xinrui touched the spirit tablet she had hidden under her clothes. She had mixed feelings. She clenched her fists tightly as if she was clutching her own son, as if she had found someone to rely on. Are we really leaving like this? Xiao Hua held Jiang Luer in his hand, and his figure appeared in the air outside Yellow Flower Ridge. He said to Zhang Qingxiao, who was also slowly showing her figure, "Senior sister will definitely regret it later. Don't you want her to see Luer again?" We're just leaving for a few days. Why do we have to be separated by life and death? Is it interesting? Zhang Qingxiao snorted and waved his hand. The black jade arrow boat landed in the air again. He said, "Let's go. Where are you going? I'll send you there." At most, Luer will return to Yellow Flower Ridge in a few months. Xiao Hua didn't stand on ceremony. He flew onto the flying boat and placed Jiang Luer properly on it. He pointed to the east and said, "Let's go to Lian country." Lian country? Zhang Qingxiao was stunned. Why? Not in Shi country? Yes. Xiao Hua didn't explain and only agreed. Zhang Qingxiao activated the flying boat, but after flying for a while, he was in a dilemma again. If we go to Ming Kingdom or Shi Kingdom, it's easy. My heavenly demonic sex teleportation array can also be used. But unfortunately, it's Shi country. My heavenly devil sex teleportation formation isn't built well. If we don't use the teleportation formation of the sect and just rely on the flying boat, I'm afraid it'll take a lot of time. Luer, can't eat. It's really troublesome. Xiao Hua raised his eyebrows. As if he thought of something, he asked, "What does your heavenly devil sect have that can hold living people?" What do you mean? Zhang Qingxiao didn't understand. For example, a spirit storage bag. Xiao Hua reached out and took out a spirit storage bag from his chest. During the Tao Sword War, I once put the disciples of the Imperial Thunder sect into this spirit storage bag. Spirit storage bag? Zhang Qingxiao was shocked. Although this spirit storage bag can hold spirit beasts, the space inside is very strange. The formation is also unstable. Even the spiritual chi is limited, especially Luer. He can't breathe and still needs to breathe. Putting him in this spirit storage bag, can he live for long? Let's not talk about this first. Do you think it's possible or not? Xiao Hua asked. If it's possible, You and I will use the teleportation formation and put Lure in this spirit storage bag for the time being. Zhang Qingxiao thought for a moment and nodded. It should be possible, but it can't be for too long. Otherwise, it'll be easy for Lure to suffocate to death. That's good. Xiaohua nodded. If it's really a critical moment, we'll have to act at our own discretion. Sigh, okay. Zhang Qingxiao, who had always made people feel that she was omnipotent, sighed and agreed helplessly. After flying for another half a day, Xiaohua suddenly pointed in the direction of the Imperial Thunder Sect and said in a negotiating tone, "Second senior brother, now that we're not too far away from the Imperial Thunder Sect, why don't you send me to the sky, Thunder Peak?" "What? You miss your Imperial Thunder Sect?" Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. "What about Jiang Lure? Didn't you make a solemn vow earlier? Now you've changed your mind? Lure's situation can't be solved in a short time. You and I have to find someone to help. Moreover, looking at Lure's situation, there's not much change. Going to the Imperial Thunder Sect is just a matter of convenience. You don't have to bully me like this," Xiaohua said coldly. "Anyway, you promised in front of junior sister." "Not me." Zhang Qingxiao slightly turned the bow and flew in the direction of the Imperial Thunder Sect. From Yellow Flower Ridge to the Sky Thunder Peak, it naturally took more than a few days. During this period, Zhang Qingxiao steered the boat, and Xiaohua carefully comprehended the Heart Sutra of Prajnaparmitha. At the same time, they also paid attention to Jiang Lure's situation. There were no obvious changes, so they were slightly relieved. Seeing that they were about to arrive at the Sky Thunder Peak, Zhang Qingxiao stopped the flying boat in midair and said coldly, "Your new sect is about to arrive. You don't need me to personally send you to the mountain gate, right?" "Of course not," Xiaohua said with a smile. "However, it's not convenient for me to use my messaging charm in the Imperial Thunder Sect. Second senior brother, can I ask Di Hongshan of the Thunder Palace's Myriad Thunder Valley to come out? Hee. You also know that you're a member of the Sword Battle. You can't casually return to the Imperial Thunder Sect without permission. I thought you didn't know this." Zhang Qingxiao sneered. "Your messaging charm is not useful, but I can freely enter and leave the Sky Thunder Peak. Do you think that Xianlazi is a decoration? Do you think that Fairy Xianhua and the other palace masters are all in seclusion?" Hee. Xiaohua didn't get angry and said with a smile, "Second senior brother, you're the sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect. Don't tell me that you don't have any spies in the Imperial Thunder Sect. Don't tell me that you don't have a secret technique to inform the disciples of the Heavenly Demon Sect in the Imperial Thunder Sect. You." Zhang Qingxiao was angry. "You're not the deputy sect master of my Heavenly Demon Sect. Why should my disciples listen to you?" Hee. I just said a few words to Cui Hongshan. Second senior brother, you don't need to be so calculative, right? Xiaohua said with a smile. Okay. Zhang Qingxiao didn't feel like talking to Xiaohua anymore. She took a step into the air, and her figure slowly disappeared. After a long while, Zhang Qingxiao returned and threw a jade slip. Go to this place and wait for your junior brother Cui. Many thanks, second senior brother, Xiaohua said, and took the jade slip. His figure also slowly disappeared. Damn it, this guy is not the deputy sect master of my Heavenly Demon Sect. He's even better than the deputy sect master of my Heavenly Demon Sect. Zhang Qingxiao looked at the place where Xiaohua disappeared and scolded. Not only did he use my Heavenly Demon Sect disciples as his own disciples, he's even more familiar with the Devil World concealment technique than I, the sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect. If you say you're not a devil cultivator, I won't believe it. Xiaohua flew for about a dozen miles, and his figure landed on the foothills of a mountain. He took out the jade slip and looked at it carefully. He looked at it for a long time, and only when he could confirm it did he close his eyes and sit down cross-legged. After an hour, two hesitant figures flew over from the distant horizon. They were Cui Hongxun and Dui Qiming. Xiaohua naturally saw them. He frowned, and a trace of doubt flashed through his eyes. Dui Qiming, why is she here? This heavenly demon's sex disciple is really unreliable. Xiao Hua didn't let the other people from the Myriad Thunder Valley come out to see him because he was afraid that they would leak some information. Cui Hongshan's mind was 10 times more lively than the rigid Xiangyang. If he called him out, he should be able to keep it a secret. However, if Dui Chiming of the Lightning Conversion Palace was added, wouldn't his plan fail? However, Xiaohua pondered for a moment, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile again. He thought to himself, since she's here, then, as her senior brother, I have to show my gratitude again. Cui Hongshan and Dui Chiming's divine senses swept over and saw that it was actually Xiaohua. Their doubtful faces couldn't help but be filled with ecstasy. They looked at each other and used the lightning escape technique to fly towards Xiaohua. Second senior brother, why is it really you? Cui Hongshan shouted from afar. The joy in his voice was definitely from the bottom of his heart. Dui Chiming, who was beside him, didn't shout, but her face was flushed red. She actually looked shy. You're here. Xiaohua stood up with a smile and waved his hand, indicating for them to descend. He asked, what took you so long? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.